I gotta press that. Sorry that I don't have like a fancy like intro where like I talk to a chat for a long time, but it feels like chat doesn't have a lot to say today, and neither do I. So maybe it's just better, since we've got so much Trump tent and some Elon tent to get through today. Maybe it's just better that we get started. What say you? What say you, chat? We should get started, shall we? Remember, if you haven't voted yet, we've got a poll going on the full scale, on the full screen stream, right? You can click on that if you're watching me in Shorts, and you can go ahead and you can come over and vote if you want, right? I've only got the poll running on one screen, or on one stream for simplicity. This goes for you too, Twitch. You can come over and vote if you want. Right now, what is winning? Bill Nye the Science Guy, which is like objectively the best thing that can happen in class, is that the teacher brings in a DVD of Bill Nye the Science Guy. That's objectively the best case scenario for any school day. But yeah, Bill Nye the Science Guy versus Marjorie Taylor Greene, that's winning. Classic Michael Brooks and cute cat videos are in second place. Naomi Klein on Bad Hasbro is in third place. Remember, you can also affect these results when you donate by letting me know in chat which of these topics you want to see as your bonus content. I will be more than happy to put your money where your mouth is, adding your donation as a percentage to the topic of your choice. We're at 0% on our dono goal right now. If we get to 100% by the end of the stream, we will get bonus content. And right now it kind of looks like it might be Bill Nye, but that's affected by your vote. So make sure to vote if you haven't. Remember, it's the full scale stream, right? You can click on that from Shorts chat. I think I put it in the pinned comments, or you can come over from Twitch as well. Make your voice heard, make your vote known, and also like the stream while you're at it as well. When you donate, whether it's a super chat, super sticker, whether you're getting yourself a membership or gifting memberships to other people, if you're signing up for Patreon or donating on Throne or on Twitch, you're getting yourself a free sub to get out of that ad break, which is coming up here. Oh no, chat, we're dropping frames. What's going on? It's coming up here in another 15 minutes. We're going to have an ad break on Twitch. You can get out of that ad break for free or for $6, or possibly by being gifted a sub. Remember, if you are one of those people gifting the subs, you can also let me know where to put that donation, and whatever form it takes, I will put your money where your mouth is. I will add it as a percentage to the topic of your choice, and you will actually help that topic win. You will actually add percentages to the final. Oh, look at that. Classic Michael Brooks coming out of nowhere. Yo, Michael Brooks now in second place with 30% to 32 for Bill Nye, 24. It's a very close match. So make sure to vote if you haven't already. And let me know when you donate which of these topics you want your donation to be put towards, and I'll be happy to put your money where your mouth is. And we got to get started on the Trump stuff. We haven't officially had World War III yet. What do you mean officially? Are you a robot? I'm trying. I mean, I'm trying to be human. I want to be human just like you. Right? I just have to, I just have to gather enough data so I can be human. All right, let's see what Trump's up to here. Pressing my magic button so that we can get going. What graphics would World War III have? I think 16-bit. Did World War III get put on the back burner? Ask Netanyahu. Oh God, see, this is what's got people kind of worried, actually. Right, so I think what chat's talking about is the fact that Israel has been attacking Lebanon, and Iran hit back, with some missiles, and Israel has not like responded, has not retaliated yet. And some people are worried that, like, some people are like, okay, well, maybe they will chill the fuck out and we don't have to have World War III right now. And then other people are like, no, they're getting the nukes ready. I don't know, chat. I can't tell you. I can't tell you. But what I can tell you is that, oh, Michael Brooks versus Israeli TV has just taken the lead. Bill Nye the Science Guy in second place, Cute Cat Videos in third place. Make sure to vote if you haven't already. Also know that when you donate, you can let me know in the chat which of these topics you want to see, and you can get an extra vote. When you donate, you get like percentage, whatever your donation is, it gets added as a percentage to the topic of your choice. Or you could even add it to Vox Populi if what you want is for the poll to determine the outcome. If you're really big about stopping the steal and making sure that the vote is sacrosanct, you can always choose Vox Populi, and that will actually take away points from other people's donos. So you maintain the sacredness of the vote that way. That's a possibility as well as Fallout New Vegas. It's also on there, I should point out. Okay, so yeah, there we go. It's time for Trump. Oh no, wait, do I have the rights to this music? Possibly not. Let's see what we got going on here. And we'll see how long I stream for too. Oh my god. Trump, you're so quiet. I hate this. You know what this means?
He has one great thing, though. He has got an ability that I don't have. He can put down one of those 16-ounce little things that are made out of light aluminum. They're meant for old people and children to lift. He can't lift it, so a child is always with him. And he sleeps. The guy can fall asleep instantly with the press watching. Who the hell wants?
Is that better?
And he's out cold. You see the dribble coming down the side of his cheek. What do you think? What do you think President Xi of China? He's a fierce person. I know him very well. He's a fierce man. What do you think?
This guy's the weirdest fucker in the world. Oh my gosh, President Xi, if he sees Biden asleep, he'll be like, aha, it's time to attack. Because that's how war between two near-peer military powers work, right? One of the powers just catches the other one sleeping. And then he's like, it's time to fire the rockets. Fire the rockets. They'll never see it coming. Oh no. Oh no. We couldn't get the military ready to respond because Biden was sleeping. We hadn't made any sort of provision for that. Damn. Damn.
He's thinking, oh, this is great. But he's actually better than Kamala because, believe it or not, he's actually a more intelligent person. Can you believe it? Did you ever think I'd be...
Because I base my assessment on other people of my perceived antagonism to them, and since she's running against me, I've got it behooves me to say that that he's better than Kamala, right? I got to say that she's the worst, and if they switch again, then Biden will be the worst. If they bring in Hillary, then Hillary's the worst. If Bernie Sanders parachutes in and starts running, then it's crazy Bernie time. It's just whoever the fuck is you're running against, whoever's in your way, that's the worst.
Biden is more intelligent than someone. Kamala's mass migrant invasion is also placing crippling burdens.
I hate this audio, by the way.
Jobs, resources, and opportunity from African American and Hispanic American.
African Americans, folks, like Elon Musk, my favorite African American.
These people coming in are taking the jobs of,
and they're eating the cats.
had it a long time. Their unemployment rate is through the roof. Where do you hear the numbers? And also Hispanic American at a little bit less clip. They're replacing people that have
They're replacing, it's like the body snatchers.
in these jobs for a long time, doing a good job, not bothering anybody. They're living out their lives and they're being fired. And people that
They're being fired. I'm sorry, we're gonna fire you and replace you with an illegal immigrant who's actually Hannibal Lecter.
few years ago, one study found that 1 in 4 students in LA County schools was from an illegal immigrant.
They're replacing the students too. They'll pull your ass out of class and be like, I'm sorry, you got to get the fuck out of school. We have an illegal immigrant here to replace you as a student. They're going to, here, give them your name tag too. They're going to take your name. They're going to take your identity. They're just going to replace you.
Household. And after 4 years of Kamala Harris, the number is now a much higher number than that. Think of that. They come in by the thousands a day, thousands and thousands, all over the country. And you've heard the expression, every state is now a border state. They fly them over. That's the one thing nobody knew. It even took me a little while to figure that one out. We wondered, what were all those airplanes doing flying into our country? That's how we found them. We had like hundreds of planes flying over the border. They say, we're going to make the border tougher. How about she said, oh, we had a good border bill, but Trump talked Congress out of it. I didn't talk anybody out. The bill was defective. It was terrible. Millions of people would have come in and would have been made citizens, but that's not the point. The point is they slowed it.
Okay, no. He's a fucking liar. He supported that bill. He's trying to retcon. He thinks you're dumb. And some of you might be dumb. Some of you coming into YouTube Shorts right now, you might not be very smart. Because if you believe him, that he's somehow against this bill that he supported until he got wind that the bill would be signed into law by Joe Biden and be passed through the Senate, right? It might, in other words, it might actually pass. They wanted to pass the Bennett bill through the Congress so that the Senate or Biden would say no to it. And if it was the Senate, they could be like, all these Democrats, they're against doing something. They're against stopping the immigration. They're against stopping the madness at the border, right? Or if Biden vetoes it, Biden, like that's what it was for. And then as soon as Biden was like, no, I'll sign that bill, Jack, right? Trump calls up Congress and he's like, vote against it, vote against it. Oh, the thing that you were telling me to vote for? Yeah, that thing. Vote against it now, right? He's so full of shit. He's so full of shit.
So the numbers looked a little bit better, not much. But what they didn't do is stop airplanes from pouring in with thousands of people. Hundreds of thousands of people a year are flown into the middle of our country. In other words, they're sick, and that's what they want. That's their policy. They were trying to convince us, yes. All of a sudden, she said, yes, we can do. For 3.5 years, think of this. She was saying the other day, yes, oh, yes, we want to have a border. The first time she ever said it, she almost threw up when she said it. But the numbers were looking very bad for her, the poll numbers. She was getting trounced. And then all of a sudden she said, no, we'd like to have a wall. We'd love to have a wall. Remember me? I said wall.
But you were in support of that bill until that moment. Now he's putting it on Kamala. He's rewriting history to make it like Kamala was the president. Somehow Kamala was in charge and it was like, her choice. But no, this is a Biden initiative, essentially. Like Biden communicated with the Republican House that they would sign that bill. As soon as that happened, Trump said, do not pass that. Do not let that get to the Senate. Because before, he wanted to force the Senate to vote on it, right? When he thought that the Democrats in the Senate would vote against it, he wanted to force Biden to have to veto it so he could use that and say, look at this, Biden is against this bill. Then Biden changes his mind. Totally craven on Biden's part, by the way, too, right? Don't get me wrong. Like, Biden's a complete scumbag for caving to Trump on immigration, but that's what happened. That was the bill that the Republicans wanted. And they wanted it until they knew it would pass. Because you know what? The one thing that Trump wants, the one real thing that Trump actually wants is power. That's the end all be all. That's what he's concerned about, right? He wants to win the election. But yeah, it's a sign that both sides are fucked up and corrupt, right? The fact that the Democrats will cave on an issue like that, the fact that the Republicans will not take the W because they think that they can use the issue if they don't pass the bill. They don't want any sort of implication that their supposed crisis has been solved because, the Democrats gave them everything they want. So in other words, it's not about the bill. It's not about the policy. It's about getting this guy out of having to face having to face the music of justice, having to go to court for the crimes that he's been accused of and possibly be sentenced, right? That's what it's about. If he gets into the White House again, then the only way that he can face any sort of penalty is through an impeachment, is through the votes of like 2/3 of the of more than half of the House of Representatives and 2/3 of the Senate, which in other words is never going to happen, right? This is or he's been impeached, but he's never been removed from office, right? And that would be the only way for him to actually be subject to justice, right? So yeah, I mean, this is what he's doing. This is why he needs it. And this is why policy doesn't matter to you. Even the policy that you most directly connect with Donald Trump, which is the draconian border policy, the anti-immigrant demagoguing, is not actually something that he wants.
And Mexico did pay for it. You know, they gave us thousands and thousands of soldiers. They paid more, remember, because there was no vehicle for that. I just want to set the record straight because I do everything. We got thousands of Mexicans patrolling our border, free of charge. I said to the head of Mexico, the president, a very good guy, he's a socialist, but these are minor details.
He's talking about AMLO, I think. So AMLO was indeed the president of Mexico when he was president. He's not currently the president. That would be, I believe her name is Scheinbaum.
I said to him, President, you have to give us 28,000 soldiers to patrol our border. Oh, Donald, I will not do that. Of course I won't. No, you will do that. I promise you, you will. No, I will not. Yes, you will. He goes, no way. And I said, way.
He's literally acting out, bullying around like neighboring countries, right?
And then I said, you know, he's a good guy. He's a friend of mine. He just left office. He's good. Good guy. But
he's a socialist, though.
You know, why would he do that? He would do that only if we had leverage. And we do have leverage because we're the pot of gold. We won't be the pot of gold for long.
Okay, so here's the deal. You have leverage because you are a bigger, more powerful country, right? Now, you may be in a friend group where the rest of your friends are smaller than you, and you're bigger and more powerful. And that means, chat, that you've got leverage on those friends of yours, right? If they want to go and if they all want to go get tacos and you want to go and get pizza, right? You could twist their arms and be like, we're going to get the pizza. But would they be your friends then? Like, if that's how you operated in your friends group, you might not be somebody that people want to hang around with. You might not be somebody that people want to support when times get tough for you, right? So that's the whole thing. Yes, you can strong arm smaller countries. Congratulations. Congratulations. If there's a baby with candy, with a lollipop, you know, they're about to eat it, you can take the lollipop away from the baby because you're bigger and stronger than the baby. But if you're the kind of person that does that, you're not going to have a lot of friends. And it turns out, when it comes to international relations, friends are pretty fucking important.
We have idiots like we're talking about coming in and running things. We won't be a pot of gold for long, let me tell you. But he said to me, no, we won't do that.
I'm sorry, a pot of gold? Is bro talking about the Leprechaun movies? And one in chat if you've seen these movies. The creepy Leprechaun, you know what I'm talking about? They're movies, I don't know if they're from like the 80s or 90s, but they're like old movies with a creepy leprechaun that like is super evil. And also kind of horny. Anybody know about the Leprechaun movies? Some people know. His non-existent conversations are the best, yeah. They are good. I shouldn't slow his roll. Let's move forward. I just like, I mean, I don't know. When he says pot of gold, chat, is Trump a leprechaun? I gotta ask you, right? That explains a lot. If Trump is a leprechaun, We should be finding his pot of gold. We should be stealing his Lucky Charms, yeah?
I don't want to be talking to you. You're my friend. I don't want to embarrass you with a negotiator.
He could be a leprechaun. Wait, don't leprechauns kind of have orange faces and their faces are like oversized for their body? He's just a really big leprechaun. He's an overgrown leprechaun. And somebody needs to get his pot of gold.
Top guy, come and see me. So they came in. What is... That's nice. That's...
Looks like somebody in my chat believes in leprechauns. Wait, why is this not working? Oh god, I gotta feed the... I'm trying to show people's, chats here. Sorry, I thought I had this. God damn it, I'm sorry, chat. I just want to be able to see, Waltz is definitely a creepy You think Waltz is a leprechaun? What about Vance? No, I think Trump is the leprechaun. We don't need friends, we need a good president. Spoken like a true psychopath. Wow. Wow, he really has infected you, hasn't he? Wasn't Jennifer Aniston in, was it Jennifer? It was somebody from Friends. I can't. Oh my god, chat. I'm just gonna let it go.
Thank you. Thank you. What a friendly group this is. I thought there was a little riot over there. Thank you. That's very good. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much, everybody. That's very nice. Thank you over there. I can't even see them. It's so far away. Thank you very much. They probably can't hear us, so they might as well get into the...
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. So like I can't find the comment anymore, but somebody's like posting to the effect that
this is crowded. But just to finish this story, so I said, the guy comes in wearing the most beautiful suit I've ever seen. In fact, I wanted to say, who's your tailor, but it wouldn't be a good negotiation.
Oh yeah. So sorry, yeah, on fairy tales, right? On people who believe fairy tales, right? If you think that Trump strong-armed Putin into not invading Ukraine while he was president, you believe in fairy tales. You not only believe in fairy tales, right? But you could easily be tricked if your parents took you to the woods and left you there. You would be like, oh shit, we just got to follow the trail of breadcrumbs back, right? You know, if a witch was like, come in my house and eat the gingerbread, you'd be like, hell yeah, I'll eat the gingerbread. And you would get cooked up by that witch, right? If the big bad wolf knocked on your door, you would let him come in. You'd be like, oh yeah, that's totally mom coming home, right? Mom's got the tendies. No, it's the wolf. And he's going to eat you. All right. That's because you're a sucker. You're an absolute sucker. You are a mark for a con man like this. If you believe that it's like Donald Trump's imperceivable strength, his ki? Is he a DBZ Super Saiyan? Did he make his ki flare up and Putin was like, whoa, 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 buddy. I guess I won't invade Ukraine after all. Hamas was about to do October 7th, and then they were like, oh, wait a minute, we better not. Because first of all, it's not October 7th yet. And second of all, Donald Trump's there, and he'll blast us with his Kamehameha. What the fuck kind of bullshit do you believe? You buy this guy's lies. He just straight up lies to you. He offers you nothing, and you believe him. You're like, oh yeah, because he's strong. And Biden sleeps on the beach and he's got the drool running down his leg. And so Putin will invade when Biden has the drool because the US troops don't have as much effect. The US nuclear missiles don't work as well when there's a drooling Biden on the beach. That shit doesn't operate independently of the fucking octogenarian president in the White House. That's what you think. I swear to God, I could tell you fairy tales and you would believe this shit. I could sell you magic beans and you would trade in your cow for them. You are literally the archetype of the fool. Wow.
Guy walks in to talk about soldiers on the border. I say, who's your tailor? This didn't work. So he walks in, handsome guy, beautifully tailored. And I said, no, we want you to give us 28,000 soldiers for our border free of charge. And he laughs at me.
Oh, he's weaving again. Remember the weave chat?
Very good. 25 years she's worked on Mexico. She said, sir, they'll never do that. I said, yes, they will, 100%. He said, no. I said, yes. He said, no. I said, yes.
You remember the weave?
I said, here's what I'm doing. I'm signing an order. Every frickin' car that you sell into the United States is going to have a 50% tariff.
All right, so for those of you who aren't familiar with Trump's moves, this is one of his moves. He calls it the weave.
Dwight Eisenhower.
Now, we're going to watch this later. I think this is on Flagrant podcast. We're going to watch Flagrant podcast, Trump on Flagrant podcast right after this, so stick around. But this is an example of him doing the weave, and then I'll show you what he says about the weave.
Was sort of a moderate, General Eisenhower.
Wait, no, let me show you what he says first. Can we find the... Oh, yes, it's so good. It's so good.
He's so genius. Then others would say, oh, he rambled. I don't ramble. What you do is you weave things and you do it. You need an...
Oh, he's talking about the weave. Okay, that's on Flagrant. Wait, we're looking for something. Oh, here it is.
I thought this was going to be a long answer. Long, beautiful. The weave. I thought you'd do a weave like Trump does. You know.
You do the weave.
And then always come back into what you're doing. You need a great memory for that. She doesn't have that.
He's doing the weave. He's got a great memory for that.
To the debate with her. But what happened, so with Afghanistan, you know, I do the weave. You know what the weave is? I'll talk about...
I do the weave.
9 different things.
I talk about all these different things. And none of it makes any sense. But no, trust me, I'm really smart. YouTube Shorts chat knows I'm really smart. Yeah?
English professors, they say, it's the most brilliant thing I've ever seen.
All the English professors, they're like, holy shit. I thought The Fairy Queen was good. I thought The Canterbury Tales was great. I thought Beowulf was an epic poem. I thought The Odyssey was sick as shit. But no, the weave. The weave. This guy does the weave. Let's throw away all of our classic texts and study Trump's speeches because he does the weave. He's a genius. Oh my God.
But the fake news, you know what they say? He rambled. That's not rambling. When you have...
This is what happens when you challenge a narcissist, right? When you're like, you are fucking rambling. He's like, oh no, it's not rambling. It's brilliant. I do the weave. I do the weave. It's okay. I do the weave.
Do is you get off a subject to...
This is what you look like when you've been born with a silver spoon up your ass. You've lived your entire life with that silver spoon up there.
Mention another little tidbit, then you get back onto the subject, and you go through this and you do it.
He's just never been told no in his entire life. Like, this is the kind of broken human being that MAGA wants to foist on the rest of us. This sick fuck. This self-obsessed narcissist, right? This is their idea of a smart guy. And it is indeed a guy who thinks he's very smart. But it kind of makes him less intelligent that not only is he not a smart guy, not even close to a smart guy, he's the opposite of a smart guy. And yet he thinks himself. I mean, there we go. Fool Arcana once again.
For 2 hours, and you don't even mispronounce one word. And they say he had 100,000 people. You know, in New Jersey, we had 107,000 people. They never like to report it, so I say it. But...
All right, so that's the weave.
It was sort of a moderate, General Eisenhower.
Here's another example.
They had 8% generals, president of the United States, 8% were generals, 92% were politicians. And then you had Trump. See, that's a weave. You know, we go off it just
I
for a
like
second.
that. Because now, like, where are we weaving to? I'm into this.
No, think of it, because we're talking about generals, and then you get back onto the general.
There you
because
go.
what I was going to say is that Eisenhower.
I like the
is a
play-by-play
moderate.
for the week.
No, it's good, though. Isn't it great? We go into it. We mention Eisenhower, and then I say he was a general, 8% generals, 92%, and now you go back.
All right, so there's another example. You're starting to recognize it now, right?
That was the first I realized. I said, who the hell did that? I saw engines about 3-4 years ago. These things were coming, cylinders, no wings, no nothing. And they're coming down very slowly, landing on a raft in the middle of the ocean someplace.
Oh, I think he's talking about SpaceX?
Reminded me of the Biden circles that he used to have, right? He'd have 8 circles and he
I thought you were talking about SpaceX. Now we're talking about Biden?
couldn't fill them up.
Circles? What are Biden circles?
But then I heard he beat us with the popular vote. I don't know.
Dementia.
Couldn't fill up.
You and Biden do have something very much in common. And it's the fact that neither of you are competent to run for, let alone execute the office of president at this point. Both of you need to go to the politics retirement home where we put you in a matrix which simulates what it would be like if you served another 4 years or 40 years or however many years you think you're capable of. And you're just kind of sectioned off from the rest of reality in some kind of a matrix, right? You're experiencing this. But meanwhile, you're in a vat you're in a bubbling vat of liquid, like Evangelion, and you're just plugged into the matrix, and you think that you're living your life, but you're not. You're locked away safe from everybody else. Biden's right next to you.
8 circles. I always loved those circles. They were so beautiful. They were so beautiful
I
to look at.
really don't know what he means by the circles.
The person that did them, that was the best thing about the level of that circle was great.
The level of the circle is great.
But they couldn't get people, so they used to have the press.
What?
Circles, because they couldn't
What is he talking about?
get the people.
You fuckers want to put this guy in the White House again? That's elder abuse. That's elder abuse. You can't fucking do that. He needs to be in a home.
Then I heard we lost. Oh, we lost. No, we're never going to let that happen again. But we've been abused by other countries.
We're all being abused, having to fucking put up with this babbling, incoherent, octogenarian shithead. Okay, Morning Joe, I don't care. It's like my least favorite show right there. Trump's here. Okay, so anyway, you got the idea of what the weave is.
They just cut them up so that instead of 4 sentences that are perfect, it's 1 sentence that proceeds back, and all of a sudden, I used to say to
It's rhizomatic, okay? This is our first Guattarian president, right? He's applying the principles that you'll read about in 1,000 Plateaus by Deleuze and Guattari, right? It's rhizomatic. You wouldn't understand. He's the true schizoid president.
why did you cut the hell out of my paragraph? You know, I do the weave, right?
He does the weave. Leave him alone. Let him do the weave. He's got to do the weave.
And always end up in the right location. But I said, why did you do that, 60 Minutes? My answer is they just cut.
Anyway, let's go back. See what the...
And every piece of merchandise you sell into the United States starting on Monday morning.
Now, does that go for his merchandise? Because if you haven't noticed, this guy is selling a lot of merch lately. I think it may be something to do with his legal bills or the fact that he has always exaggerated his wealth. But he's selling a number of products. The Trump Bible, the Trump watch. He's got a number of products for sale. There's even a Trump, it's some kind of Trump crypto. There's Trump NFTs and Trump giant baseball cards that are overpriced for boomers who don't understand the concept of NFTs.
This was a Friday evening. We'll have a tariff of 25 to 50%, and we'll make a tremendous profit over and above the cost to you. He said, may I have a minute, sir, and call somebody? I said, you're going to call the president, right? Yes, I am. Came back. I said, do me a favor. I'm very late. You know, they're trying to...
He does the weave.
These sleaze bags. I've been under investigation more than Alphonse Capone. Think of it.
Did he say Alphonse? Oh my gosh. Excuse me?
I did. Nobody. So what happened?
We got to rewind that. Did he say Alphonse Capone?
I've been under investigation more than Alphonse Capone. Thank you.
Is that Al Capone's full name? Is he some kind of Al Capone scholar? Maybe, like, I want to say that he's just, it's dementia, but maybe he's really into Capone, right? He's into the late, great Hannibal Lecter. Al Capone, as a historical figure, is also in some movies. Maybe this is a real thing. I gotta look it up.
Considered me to be a great president.
Alphonse Capone, okay.
So what happens is this. So he comes back 2 minutes later. Sir, I'd like to report that it would be our honor to give you thousands.
Okay, it is. It's Alphonse.
We would love to give them to you free of charge, sir. I said, thank you very much.
It's Alphonse Gabe Capone.
Thank you very much. So we gave, Mexico was a big contributor. I just wanted to set the record straight, you know. Remember when I said if they don't give, we're going to build the wall 10 feet higher? I was going to do that too. The massive costs of illegal immigration are now being experienced by communities all across the country and are destroying your children's education, their safety, and indeed their lives. Your children are in danger. They can't go to school with these people. These people are from a different planet.
See, here's what happens. You send your kid to school, and then the illegal immigrant performs a sex change operation on your kid. You send a boy to school, you know, a girl comes back, right? It's very confusing. So that's why we can't allow that to happen. We can't allow the immigrants in because they're changing the genders of our children. That's
Kamala is turning us into a third world nation. That's what happened in San Francisco. When she was the DA of San Francisco, the things she did, she started that whole decline.
She started the whole decline, not the mayor, not the city council, not anybody who directly impacts the governance of the city, but no, the DA, with the massive power of district attorney.
With our victory, he says Willie Brown. Who said that? Who's the guy? What? Stand up. This can only happen in California. Yes.
And that's the other thing. He's in California. He's in a state that he will not win. Right? He's in a state that he's got no shot of possibly winning. And one wonders why. Right? If we look at, let me see if I can find this info for you on Twitter. Donald Trump, number of rallies. Oh, come on. This is a... I've been seeing this chart all around. Okay. Basically, the chart that I'm looking for shows the number of rallies that Donald Trump has done this year versus the number of rallies that he did in 2016. Now, why do I say 2016 and not 2020? Well, some of you may not remember, but 2020 was kind of a strange year. It was, the first year of the pandemic, and because of that, there really weren't a lot of rallies at all. But if you compare the rallies in 2016 to the number of rallies this year, it is a fraction of the rallies. So now he's not doing what he used to do, right? This is what Trump, arguably won the election doing rallies all over the country, getting free media coverage, because he was going to say something, out of pocket. And he's just really dwindled down into the number that he's actually doing. Now, part of that might be because, he started to get close to the number that he had done 8 years ago in July. And then obviously the thing in Butler happened. He got a free high-powered ear piercing from one of his supporters. And so maybe the idea of an outdoor rally became a little bit less appealing, right? But yeah, he's just not doing rallies. And so the fact that he's A, not doing enough rallies, but B, doing rallies in the wrong place, right? This is what is this going to do for him? Maybe do some fundraising here? Maybe try to build up those coffers? But in terms of getting votes in California, he could rally in California full time and he would still lose the state. So it's a waste. And wonders why he's fucking the bag like this.
I didn't say it. Remember that. He said it. He said it. He said it. Do you remember when a man, we're talking about this guy, Chris Christie, he went off the reservation, right? We have some people, and some guy shouts out to me, he's a fat pig, sir. Nobody heard it but me, but it was still, he said it. Sir, you should not call Chris Christie a fat pig, please. He is not a fat pig. You shouldn't. You're very rude, sir. We're going to have to throw you out if you do it again. He is not a fat pig. And you know what? The press is saying, that son of a gun. They couldn't even report this, sir, because I was defending, because you're not allowed to use the word fat. You can use any word you can use. You cannot call somebody fat. That's not allowed anymore. You lose your job, you lose your life.
Trump, there might be another reason not to call other people fat, even if you don't have a problem with using that as an insult yourself, right? Now, most people think that's kind of rude. And in the context of a political exchange, right, my opponent is a fat pig, just kind of makes you look like an asshole rather than giving any substantial reason to not vote for your opponent. But whatever, you don't care about that. There's another reason, though, Trump. There's another reason that you might not want to point out Chris Christie's weight, which is that when you do, people are tempted to take a look at you and ask if you, Mr. Trump, are height-weight proportional. And I think we both know that the answer is that no, you're not. That the measurements that you gave of being, what did he say, 6'2" and 215 pounds is nowhere close to true. But you know what? It wouldn't matter if you weren't out here calling Chris Christie a fat pig. It would not matter. Nobody would think to do that because unlike you, most people are not assholes. And there's a lot of good reasons to vote against Donald Trump that have nothing to do with his weight. But since you asked, Donald Trump,
we are going to become, and quickly, the greatest, strongest, freest, safest, and most powerful nation the world has ever seen. And on day one, I will close the border and I will stop the invasion of illegal criminals coming into our country.
Notice his use of superlatives, like his enemies, they're not bad, they're the worst. And what he's promising you isn't good, it's the best. Right? The greatest, bestest, fastest, like anybody who's like, oh yes, I like the superlative means the best of all. That's what we want, right? From the richest man in America, who may not actually be a billionaire, who may not have ever have been a billionaire, a man who was given quite a fortune by his parents, who inherited quite a lot of money, and ended up going bankrupt in multiple businesses multiple times.
And despite all
Tom Brady is 6'3" and 215.
of the damage that she has done to this state and to our nation in the past 4 years, she's the worst. Oh, she's terrible. She's terrible.
The worst. Did I call it or did I call it? That's all he does. Once you understand what's in his bag of tricks, he becomes a lot less interesting. It's very simple, very reflexive.
Thank goodness she doesn't have much energy, because if she had real energy, she'd really be bad. Kamala Harris said this week She can't think of one thing, not one thing, that she would do differently. Take a look. I'll show you a few.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind.
I'm so sorry, but somebody could ask JD Vance the same thing. In fact, they have. They have asked JD Vance pretty much the same thing.
I stood there on the tarmac watching you check your watch.
The chaotic and deadly U.S. evacuation from Afghanistan stunned Americans and the world and cost the lives of 13 U.S. soldiers.
Would you have done something differently?
There is not a thing that comes to mind.
More than 13,000 illegal immigrants convicted of murder have been caught at the border and then released into the United States.
An Afghan national is in custody today after being accused of plotting an election day terrorist attack. The suspect entered the U.S. on a special immigrant visa.
Gut-wrenching new details in the murder of Georgia nursing student Laken Riley. The illegal immigrant suspect, who cops say committed the heinous murder.
Who do you think tried?
This news is funded.
Two men investigators say are in the country illegally from Venezuela are charged with capital murder in the death of Jocelyn Nungaray.
A fifth illegal immigrant accused of attacking 2 New York City police officers over the weekend showed no remorse or regret.
Okay, so we're going to take a little peek right here. At JD Vance's answer to a similar question from a New York Times reporter.
Do you believe he lost the 2020 election?
I think that Donald Trump and I have both raised a number of issues with the 2020 election.
So do you have a maybe difference of opinion with Donald Trump in his refusal to admit that he lost the 2020 election? Would you say anything different? And the other question that we're going to get is, would he have done anything different than Mike Pence when faced with the illegal request by the president to refuse to certify the results of the free and fair election?
But we're focused on the future. I think there's an obsession here with focusing on 2020. I'm much more worried about what happened after 2020, which is a wide open border, groceries that are unaffordable. And look,
Senator,
Lulu,
yes or no?
Okay.
Did Donald Trump lose the 2020 election?
Let me ask you a question. Is it okay that big technology companies censored?
Isn't it wild that we've seen this happen twice now? Remember, we saw this before in the vice presidential debate.
The Hunter Biden laptop story, which independent analysis have said cost Donald Trump millions of votes.
Senator Vance, I'm going to ask you again. Did Donald Trump lose the 2020 election?
Did big technology companies censor a story that independent studies have suggested would have cost Trump millions of votes?
Senator
I think that's
Vance,
the question.
I'm going to ask you again. Did Donald Trump lose the 2020 election?
And I've answered your question with another question. You answer my question and I'll answer.
And I've answered the question with another question. He can't answer. He can't answer because the only true answer that he would give would have to be the obvious lie. Let's go back one more time to this moment.
Because of Donald Trump's inability to say.
So not only does he fail to answer this question anytime he's asked it, he gives the same fucking deflection. He thinks that answering a question with a question is acceptable. In other words, let me translate for you. Let me tell you exactly what he's actually saying here.
He is still saying he didn't lose the election. I would just ask that. Did he lose the 2020 election?
Tim, I'm focused on the future. Did Kamala Harris censor Americans from speaking their mind in the wake of the 2020?
And the answer is no, even if what you're saying, which let me translate for you, is that Donald Trump, he's saying Donald Trump is right in saying he didn't lose the election because the fact that we didn't see Hunter Biden's junk, naked pictures of his junk as a news story was the difference between Donald Trump winning that election and losing that election. So Hillary could say this shit. Hillary's actually got more of a case to say that if she hadn't gotten rat fucked by Comey, who didn't just like drop the case, which was what he was going to do. He dropped it with like a statement of like, Hillary Clinton is very bad though. She could make the same case. Now that'd be bullshit. She lost the election. She didn't lose the popular vote, but she lost the electoral college vote, and that's what decides the president. She lost the election. If she tried to say that like it didn't count or it wasn't fair, or that would be bullshit too. But this is what JD Vance is saying. His answer to this question actually is an answer within the wrappings of a non-answer, right? So he's answering it with a question, but his question belies what he really thinks. He thinks that Donald Trump won, and the fact that we didn't see Hunter's schlong as a news story, which is what that was, right? There were pictures of Hunter. That's what they took down. And when I say they took down, I'm not talking about Kamala Harris. I'm talking about Twitter. That's what Twitter took down. But there we have it.
COVID situation.
Unbelievable levels of cope here.
That is a damning non-answer.
It's a damning non-answer for you to not talk about censorship. Obviously, Donald Trump and I think that there were problems in 2020. We've talked about it.
I'm sorry, but he's not Jack Dorsey. He can't answer your question about Twitter censorship, all right?
I'm happy to talk about it further, but you guys attack us for not believing in democracy, the most sacred right under the United States democracy.
When democracy says that we should be able to look at Hunter Biden's Johnson, we should be able to see his beanie weenies. And then we can choose that, oh yeah, I guess I don't want Joe Biden. If that's his son's like stuff, if that's his son's junk, oh no, I can't vote for the guy.
Is the First Amendment. You yourself have said there's no First Amendment right to misinformation. Kamala Harris wants to use the power of government and big tech to silence people from speaking their minds. That is a threat to democracy. That
coming from the guy that's literally created an AstroTurf campaign about Haitians eating dogs and cats when nothing of the sort happened. Yeah, I think there's a problem with misinformation. I don't know what the fucking solution is.
Will long outlive this present political moment. I would like Democrats and Republicans to both reject censorship. Let's persuade one another. Let's argue about ideas, and then
let's argue about AI images of shit that never happened. You want to do that? That's what he's at. That's the world he wants to bring you into. Let's argue about misinformation. Let's argue about lies and deceptions. Let's argue about the idea that Hunter Biden having his junk on a laptop means that Joe Biden somehow was involved in corruption, and ignore the entire series of stories about Trump and his corrupt family. Like, if you want to see real familial corruption, if you want to see what that looks like, look at Trump and Ivanka, look at Trump and Jared, look at Trump and all of his kids, right? Look at Google emoluments. Google Trump and emoluments. If you want to see what actual corruption, if you want to see what conflict of interest with the president through their kids looks like, we've got an example of that. That does happen. That did happen. Trump did that. And now we're getting him projecting the crimes that he's guilty of on everyone else.
Would you have done something differently?
There is not a thing that comes to mind.
Only 18% say the economy is in
all right.
good condition.
So I can confirm now that this is getting boring. Let's take a look at what the interview with Flagrant. Again, apologies about the bad audio.
Who do you think tried
oh my God.
to take you out?
Now your audio is like way too good. You're going to turn all of this down.
So I'm going to give you some big breaking news, right?
Barrett is 18, he's handsome, he's tall, he's rich.
He's got the whole ball.
He's unleashed in New York City. Are you sure you want to reverse Roe v. Wade now?
I'm going to make this country great again. It's not a great country right now.
It's always a great country.
See,
it's always a great country.
Okay, but I'm good with names, you know.
You are. Tampon Tim was good. Is
The
that?
problem with Tampon Tim, it's hard to say. There are some, like Comrade Kamala. It's a little hard to say. She's not bad, but when you put the names together, it's a little, you got to be able to pume.
So what do you think did it? That was the best dodge of a question. You know what? You almost charmed us out of it.
Trying to get out of it. How are we doing so far?
You're doing amazing. So they're making us wrap up. We want you for long.
Give them a little more time. What the hell? These are great questions. What the hell? But they lie, and they know it's a lie. She lied about many things, and she's a liar. I have a hard time doing it to them. You know, I'm basically a truthful person. But
What's happening? Is the sizzle reel of a podcast really that confusing to chat? Should I explain? So this is Andrew Schulz. He's got a podcast called Flagrant. We probably should skip the music because it might be copyright claimed. But so like, you know, he's got he spends like an hour and 20 minutes or so talking to Donald Trump. But when they edit the video so that you'll watch the whole thing instead of starting with a boring like Trump, you know, Andrew Schulz. So like explain the weave, right? They're gonna start with the juiciest moments. Right? They're going to package them all up and be like, ooh, here's Trump answering this. Oh, who do you think shot you, Trump? Oh, you're going to get the, you know, I'm about to give you big news. World, you know, shaking news is about to happen here, right? They're getting you excited. They're getting you invested, right? This is how you edit a podcast so that people will watch the whole thing by making sure that you lead with the juiciest stuff. So this is all the juiciest stuff. But again, it doesn't matter.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Flagrant. And today, this is the first time that we've been able to say this. We are sitting down with Mr. President.
Woo.
Mr. President, thank you so much for being here.
thank you very much. Thank you, fellas.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
This is awesome. We have a bunch of questions. We're very, very grateful for your time.
Okay.
I just became a dad. My
Oh.
buddy over there just became a dad, Mark.
Yep.
That's
and
good.
Okay, so here's first question.
Great.
You have
Random Girl 3PO says, what is a podcast? I'm not a millennial.
these children that are seemingly well-adjusted, successful, and I think most importantly, they appear to like you.
Yeah.
Okay.
They better.
I grew up in the-
So get ready for the glazing, right? There's going to be a lot of glazing, but most of this, what Andrew Schulz seems to be doing here is getting Trump comfortable. On this podcast, a lot of times they make fun of the person that they have on. It's not unheard of for Andrew Schulz to do that. And there's been very few people that could sort of get, I think, who was it? Like maybe Shane Gillis might have gotten the better of Andrew Schulz when he was on. I think there's been a few people that actually did not get roasted, but for the most part, you're going on here, you're going to get roasted.
I grew up in the city.
They're going to have fun with you.
And there's a lot of people who had like very wealthy parents.
But I feel like it, I don't know. Do anyone in chat know Andrew Schulz's politics? I would kind of guess they lean to the right. I don't know how far they lean to the right, but just the general bent of his content that I've seen so far has been slightly, you know.
Parents and like the kids kind of resent them. They're almost like waiting for them to like die, and they end up in like rehabs,
Doing
and all
drugs,
this
God
other
knows
stuff.
what, yeah.
How do you raise them in the public eye where they
Buffy Geek says he's kind of anti-woke. Yeah.
still
Yeah.
become ambitious and successful?
So I do have good kids and 5 really wonderful children.
You have mutants, sir. And I'm surprised that you haven't tried to eat them like that picture of Saturn, that Goya picture.
And different, very different. Yeah, they are so different.
They're all eldritch horrors in their own right, yeah.
But you know, one thing that was in common that I always used to say when I was with them, or when
No, here's what happens, chat. When Trump has a child, it's like a flesh bud grows on his back, and he like hunches over, right? And he starts getting this growth on his back, like a bud, and then it swells and it gets bigger and bigger, and then finally it bursts and shoots all kinds of ectoplasm all over the room, and like his child comes out fully formed. in his image.
They were leaving a room. I would drive him.
It's like that scene in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Ron Mel says, I think Stavros isn't right. Sort of. Oh, yeah, Stavros is not a right winger. That's true.
Crazy. No drugs, no alcohol, no cigarettes. I would say that.
Did you say that to Don Jr.?
Yeah, Don's a little wild. He's a wild. He can be a little tough.
He told me a funny story.
Go ahead.
Okay. I talked.
Wait a minute. You look like a cooler version of Don Jr. I never thought of this, but like the Schulz hair is pretty much Don Jr.'s hair, right? It's like if he shaved his mustache, he'd look a lot like Donald Jr.
To a bunch of people, I was trying to prepare for this
Right,
interview.
right.
He told me a funny story, and he said to me, he goes, once he asked if he could have a couple of his friends over for New Year's. Was it New Year? No, it was July 4th.
Right.
On top of Trump Tower.
Right.
And you said yes. He's like, I want 5 friends. You're like, okay, I'm out of town. Go for it. He brings 200 people over to Trump Tower. Okay?
That's right.
Okay. He says that you weren't supposed to be there. You end up showing up. You hear some noise upstairs. You come up. You go, what the fuck is everybody doing here? Get the hell out of my house. He said he cleaned for the next 36 hours. And he said, to this day, you have never brought up that it even happened. And he said, I'm starting to believe it might not have happened. So
He said that's almost happened.
Can you give him closure?
No, it happened. No, I can never give closure. you can never forget. A lot of people like to forget things. You can't know. He's a good guy. And, he's taken a lot because he was always a good student. He went to the Wharton School of Finance, which is great, and he did well. But he went into the world of politics not because he wanted to, but because I was there, and I sort of automatically you drag the family in.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy, what he had to go through with Russia. Because Dad, they're asking me questions about Russia. I don't know anything about Russia. What's going on? And all of a sudden, he's in front of grand juries. He's in front of Congress. It was a hoax. It was a total hoax.
Yeah.
This was a made-up hoax by crazy Nancy Pelosi and these, the maniacs. Hillary Clinton, who's totally nuts. And this went on for 2 years. And he'd always say, Dad, I know nothing about this stuff. And he'd go before the grand jury. And, Comey, you have Comey, who's the worst, just a bad guy. But he went through a lot. And it actually made him tougher.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's good or bad, but he's a tough cookie, that one. And it made, in his case, it made him tougher. Ivanka did a great job. She didn't want anything. All she wanted to do was get people jobs. I would have made her the ambassador to the UN. I wanted to do that. I think she would have been incredible, the whole aura. She would have
Peppo says Schulz is blowing that trumpet. Yeah.
been great, but she didn't want that. She didn't, and that would have been a very glamorous position.
Yeah.
She would have been great there. All she did is go to see companies and hire people. She wanted, and she hired, I think it was like 10 million people, some incredible amount of people.
What is he talking about?
She'd go to Walmart, she'd go to Exxon, she'd go to these big companies and see if she could get groups of people hired. And she loved doing it. It was great. And there was no glamour, there was no anything, but she got people jobs that made her
So
happy.
how do you instill the ambition in the kids? I think a lot of kids that grow up with wealth, they kind of are lazy and they feel like they have no direction in life. And a lot of times they turn to like drugs and other shit. How do you instill the ambition?
Well, I've seen a lot of wealthy families where the kids mostly don't work out too well.
Now, the funny thing about this is that he is such a kid, right? He is somebody that, like I said, inherited a lot of money and was bailed out multiple times and still failed at every single venture he attempted, with the exception of The Apprentice. That was the only successful, business venture he did, which was not, I don't know if you know this, but it's not a real thing. The business that he was running in The Apprentice, the, hiring and firing of people, none of that was real. It was a reality show. But that one made money. The rest of the stuff lost money. So he is actually a fail son. He is, in all probability, a disappointment to his father.
Some don't turn out to be bad kids, but they end up hating the father, or the father maybe wanted him in business. I mean, I have one.
I mean, to be fair though, I wouldn't feel like, he has every right to hate his father. The way that all of the kids were treated growing up was pretty fucked up.
Father that's very competitive with his son. He's if the son were more successful than him,
he would hate it.
He would be unhappy. I said, "Are you crazy? It's supposed to be the other way around."
That's awesome.
My father was so proud of me. He was a successful guy. But my father wanted me to be more successful. I mean, he was so proud of all the things. I wish he could have seen what happened because we did things. But he was, he's just a proud father.
What do you think?
And I think most fathers are that way. I hope that. But I've known many fathers that are very successful that didn't want that broke up over their son's success. If, in the few cases where the son was more successful, which was very seldom, actually. It's very seldom. You take people like in sports, because in sports you see it, because it's a microcosm of life, but it's quicker. And you'll take like the greatest golfers, and they'll have a son, and he'll be really good as a young, but they never supersede.
RL says, I'm not sure where RL's coming from with this, but y'all love talking about some rumors, but we watched Trump say he would date his daughter. Now, I don't think that he's really... Like, I don't know. Yeah, he said it. He 100% said that. Like, I hope that he's not serious about that, but it's a fucked up thing to say regardless. I don't know. That's just not something you should say to your about your daughter. And he said that with her right there in the room.
Almost. I can't think of any. They never supersede the father in terms of success. And in sports generally, baseball, you can go to a lot of different sports. And it really is a sort of a microcosm of life. But with life, it takes a lot longer to find out the end result.
Come to fruition.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we said you're a great father up top. First thing you say is, I've got great kids. You didn't take credit. And then your entire answer, and I thought this was really cool, your entire answer is about how great your kids are. That was a very cool thing.
Thank you. That's very nice. I think I like this interview. I think that's genuine. I think it's right. And by the way, congratulations. I hear your show is like is crazy monster success.
We're doing pretty good. We're very we're interviewing presidents.
It's really good. And right in the middle of a campaign with only 29 days to go.
Yeah.
And you're taking up time. Don't you feel
Just to talk about your family.
Yeah, we're just complimenting
you know what it is? It's a different world out there. You guys and some others.
Yeah.
We had the standard television stuff for many years, and that's still, I think it's underrated now. I think it's still very important. But but there's a whole new
He's saying that he thinks that terrestrial television doesn't get enough credit, is going to make a comeback. I don't know. It's kind of a boomer take, Trump.
Thing. Elon interviewed me on something.
Yeah.
And I think they said 275 million.
Elon interviewed me on something. I can't remember what it was called.
Hits or
That's a lot of people.
That
It was a website that I used to be on until I got banned, and then they let me back on. But I always post on Truth Social instead.
That's a nation. Yeah.
But it's a whole new, different way of.
Do you see what a sucker he is too? Because like he's totally buying Elon's numbers, which are the most inflated thing you could imagine, right? The way that views are counted on Twitter, it's similar to what most social media platforms count as impressions, right? So in other words, just scrolling by a video, you become a view for that video, despite never having watched it.
Can I ask you a question?
Getting the word out, right?
About Elon specifically, is he your favorite African American?
I am so sorry, chat. I am so sorry that you were just subjected to that. Like, that is... Seriously. Is he your favorite African American?
He's a piece of work, I'll tell you. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
He's obviously a brilliant guy.
Yeah.
I mean, when I saw the rocket engines come back, I said, what is that? Like a couple of years ago, I've seen rockets go up and then they crash into the water.
Yeah.
And I see the engines are coming back. And They're landing.
It's unbelievable.
They're landing, and they land on a raft in the middle of the ocean someplace
Yeah.
with a little dot, and they land right on the top of the spot.
And my wife can't parallel park.
I know. Most people can't. But no, he's great. But he's got a great heart. He was with me, as you know, on the other night.
Yeah.
And we were honoring a man who got killed at a rally. Corey, firefighter, great guy. And it was a beautiful evening.
Great guy whose last name I have forgotten already.
But Elon went out.
The dude that literally took a bullet that was meant for this guy, right? Was meant to JFK his head all over that stage, right? I can't. Corey, great guy. Yeah, I remember hugging his firefighter jacket.
And he loved the.
What a sick fuck.
He loves.
He can't even hide his narcissism long enough to like pretend to be grateful for the person that took a bullet that was meant for him.
The country.
Yeah.
And he's picked a side. A lot of people don't want to pick a side. I have a lot of people that are big supporters of me.
Yeah.
But they won't go all out. You know, they can't.
They're scared.
Quite.
There's a
They're
cost.
scared. Yeah. There's a cost.
Yeah.
There is a cost, but there's also a liability. I mean, you know, some people, I respected a lot when this guy was up there doing jumping jacks. You got to vote for Trump. You got to vote for Trump.
He was jumping high.
Yeah.
He was jumping high.
Looked
you know
quite
what?
African.
When he jumped,
I'm sorry, when he said this guy was up there doing jumping jacks, you got to vote for Trump. I thought he was talking about the shooter. I thought he was talking about the shooter. Yeah, he's had like 2 attempts on him, both of them from guys that supported him at one point.
he's in good shape. I'm looking at his waist. I'm saying, wait a minute, does he work out or something? But he really, and he had a great time. And you know, he's not out there
That's what I remember from about Elon is how fit he is, and
much. He's probably maybe a little. Would you say he's a little reclusive? Possibly.
Yeah. He's also busy. He's got like 5 different
He's very
companies.
busy and maybe a little reclusive.
he's very busy.
But he had
Because he actually does work at any of those companies. No, he doesn't just use that as his own personal palace, right? To fucking narcissistically flex on people, right? No, he definitely does real work at those places.
greatest time. He was saying, look at these people. We had 100,000, more than 100,000 people.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
It was a record. It was nobody's ever seen, and it was really. It was a celebration of a life, and it was really a MAGA. It was a MAGA deal.
Yeah.
And he was a big MAGA person. His family was there, and 2 other people that were very badly hurt were all
And you can't remember his last name.
also celebrated. They were very badly hurt. They weren't actually expected to live.
Yeah.
And they lived, and they had incredible doctors. Some of those country doctors are better than the big doctors that we spend a lot of money on, and they don't do as good. I will tell you right now. I don't want to knock anybody, but those country doctors saved 2 people, because I was told that 3 would. No, think of that. 3.
It's hard to keep it together with this guy, right? And remember what Andrew's doing. You know, Trump is somewhat of a target for him. He's going to make some clips. He knows that the way to make clips with Trump is to make fun of the guy, but he's got to make him feel at home. He's got to make him feel safe. He's got to make him feel like he's on his side first. So, you know, he's kind of losing it already.
In trouble. And 3 were going to, now Corey immediately, but the other 2 were so bad that they thought they wouldn't make it.
Yeah.
And those country doctors, they pulled them.
Wait, Miskatonic's talking about the Tesla buggy whips? It's what you got to bring along in your Cybertruck for when it breaks down, so that you can use the whip to beat your footmen while they try to drag the truck away. Yeah.
They pulled them.
No, they should just carry him like one of those, you know, the ancient kings. They'd be picked up on, you know, they'd have like a throne, and it's got like a. It's got like something draped over it, right? You know, they carry them like they carry the kings through the desert. You know what I'm talking about? With the poles. Is it called a daze?
They did a great job.
Okay, so you're going back into this place where, you know, there was this assassination attempt. They hit you. Headshot. You survive.
Yeah.
They. Not he. Like, we know who shot him. We know that he wasn't working with anybody, but we're still going to say they. We're still going to feed the idea. This man's personal fucking narcissistic, gang stalking, persecutorial fantasy. We're going to feed into that by saying they, that shadowy cabal.
It was not a good feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you scared?
By the way.
No.
Lady Badash says it's called a Sadan. That's what it's called.
That's good. You know, I have an attitude. It's interesting. It's sort of, it is what it is. Does that make any sense to you guys? You know, you do what you have to do. I felt it was important to go back. A lot of people, I guess, agreed with me because it was over 100. I think they said 108,000 people in the end. That's a lot of people.
Super Bowl.
And I had no guitar. You know, if you have a guitar, it's easy.
I'm sorry. Let me help you out there, Trump. I think you need one of these. Yeah. You didn't have a guitar. Because you're like a rock star. There's so many people out there that it's like you're a rock star. Is that what we're going for here? Anyway, give him the good job. Good job.
I said Qatar.
Yeah,
I have guitar. I do have that. They like me very much. But I don't have a guitar.
Yeah, you have the
right?
guitar, yes.
So anyway, but that was it was amazing. I mean, no, I like it when somebody like Elon,
So he must have been told, I'm guessing, by, I don't know, Barron, by Donald Jr., by whoever in his family listens to this shit, this Flagrant podcast. These guys are comedians, Dad. These guys are really funny. So you go on there, they'll be funny, you'll be funny. You're really funny, Dad. Yeah, just bust out some jokes. Just like, I don't have a guitar. I might have Qatar.
has a lot to lose, is willing to do what's right.
Yeah.
Some people know it's right to do, and I'm not just talking about endorsements and all, but they don't want to do things because they're...
they don't want it to cost them opportunities
the word
in
is
the future.
they want to be politically correct, and
Yeah.
actually they're doing a bad thing. I think for themselves and for a lot of people they may represent.
Okay, opening line when you walk out there.
So right.
I mean,
I was wondering what you were going to say, and as a comedian, you can seize the moment.
Yeah.
And
he was a hell of a comedian, by the way.
No, I appreciate
That's
that.
what the word is.
So I hear you go, I see the video and you go up there and you go, as I was saying.
Right.
Crowd goes fucking berserk.
Again, wow. Really, as I was saying. Wow.
Or what?
They went, I would say, crazy.
Yeah.
And I wasn't
Biggest
sure.
pop you've experienced?
Yeah, I'll tell you how, you have this as a comedian or even not as a comedian, just when you make a speech or you make some very serious statement.
Yeah.
So we're at a very serious and somber thing
Event,
because
yeah.
we're celebrating a life that is no longer with us. And I wasn't sure whether or not that thing, I had it in my mind for a long time. Once I said I'm going back, which I wanted to go back immediately, I wanted to actually finish my speech, okay?
You think he might suffer from some kind of Jekyll and Hyde syndrome? What, Trump?
I said, let me finish my speech. But I'm surrounded by like 8 very large, strong men and a very wonderful woman. You saw that.
Yeah.
But I'm surrounded by guys. They said, sir, no way, go. And I have blood pouring down, but I really wanted to finish my speech. I said, I think I had like 50,000. I had a lot of people there.
Yeah.
And, when I went down, I was sort of like embarrassed. I said, I went down in front of all these people. That was my first thing. I don't want to be embarrassed.
You were embarrassed that you went down after being shot?
Well, you weren't exactly sure what the hell was happening at first,
Yeah. But also, you can't.
No, he's a fucked up guy. He's a fucked up guy, right? He gets shot at and it actually hit. And the first thing that he thinks about is like, I don't want to be carried away but without my shoes. Right? If I don't get my shoes, people might realize that I'm not 6'2". And we can't have that. And instead of being safe and like hurrying off into safety, hurrying off into the car, I got to jump up and give any second shooter that might be there another chance to hit me, right? I'm going to make a big, like after these Secret Service people have tackled me, gotten me on the ground, protected me, right? I'm going to get up and I'm going to do this. It's just like, there's something wrong with this guy. There's something really wrong with him.
back up with the fist raised. That's one of the hardest pictures.
But I was also,
Did you hear them say he's down, or were you just
so when I got hit, I assume that it's funny.
Is it?
When I was down there, it is sort of strange. I guess now it's a little bit, we can smile a little bit, but not really, because the 3 guys, 1 killed, two very badly hit.
Yeah.
But when I went down, I had total realization. It wasn't a surreal. You know, they talked about a surreal. That could be a surreal experience, like when something happens, some traumatic thing happens. People they lose focus. They have no idea where they are. I've heard many people where that happens. Something really terrible happens that. It was just the opposite. I knew exactly what had happened. I got shot in the ear, and Secret Service thought I may have been shot. Actually, they were pretty sure that I was shot all over because there was a lot of blood. Just a little fact, if you get shot in the ear, it's the bloodiest place. It bleeds more than anything else.
Oh, wow.
Now, it's good to be shot this way, not that way. That way, that's bad. So if I don't turn, I would be doing this right now, guaranteed.
Guys, I got some stand-up shows.
Let's get back to the show.
My son Don told me, actually, he's a great shooter. So is Eric. They're great shooters. They're like better than scratch. Okay, if you use it. And they say it's amazing because it was 130 yards. To me, that sounds like far away, but it's not. For shooting, it's not. He said that would be like sinking a 1-foot putt for just a decent shooter.
Wow.
And I don't know if you guys are shooters, but they said if you're a shooter, it's almost impossible to miss. It's that close. It's really considered that close. I mean, 3, 4, 5.
Now, any gun enthusiasts in chat want to explain to me if do you call that being a shooter? Because to me, a shooter is like, what are you, like a friend of Tim Waltz? Like, what's going, like, are you a shooter? It sounds like you're asking. Are they like a school shooter or something? I don't know.
500 yards is very doable, but this is supposed to be very close. And so he said, I think Don became more religious, actually, you want to know the truth. It had a big impact. He said, it's impossible. The doctor, actually, when I got to the hospital, they were fantastic, Butler Hospital. I get there, and the doctor greeted me, and he looked at me and looked it over. He said, you are the luckiest man I've ever met.
Wow.
He said, you should immediately go out and buy a lotto ticket. Can you imagine? He's telling me to buy a lotto ticket. There's blood all over the place. And he said, I've been doing this for 25 years. He said, I've never seen a thing like this.
Wow.
Because it's just whacked it, but it was something that was, relatively not so bad compared to what could have happened. So I feel very lucky. It was an amazing experience, a horrible experience in most ways. In some ways, it was beautiful because I was somehow, I hopefully, Corey's protected too, who's the firefighter, and he's in a good place, maybe a better place than we're in here, because this world is a little bit on the tough side. But it was an amazing experience.
Do you feel like a increase in your spirituality after something like this?
Well, maybe, especially when I'm hearing from people that do shoot and are good at it, that it was almost impossible to miss from, like a 1-foot putt.
You start to
very
believe.
hard. You got to miss it. That's a bad putt, right? He equated it to a 1-foot putt. When they say that, I say, wow, that's so, you're saying, they said a bad shooter would hit you from that distance 100% of the time.
Wow.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
And here I am. We're doing this wonderful interview with 4 geniuses that are hot as pistols, right?
Excuse me?
Good hair on this guy.
Likewise, sir.
Pretty good stuff you got there. So anyway, but here we are.
Who do you think tried to take you out?
So I'm going to give you some big breaking news, right?
Love that.
Because I know the kind of show and it's entertainment, but it's also very serious. I mean, I get the whole picture. And you know what?
No, he completely is on the level with their humor.
Just funny stuff, you wouldn't have the success you've got, to be honest with you, right?
Yeah.
It's nice to intersperse it, but I'll give you something. So, first of all, I have great respect for the Secret Service.
Oh, no, is he going to do the weave?
The guys that were with me, I went down and I did a good job going down because those bullets were winging over my head. If I would have been up for another couple of seconds, I also wouldn't have been here.
Yeah.
But I didn't consider that as lucky as turning to the right at that one. It was like 1/16 of a second.
Yeah.
Was the only time that
Yeah.
I was safe, essentially.
Right.
If I would have gone a
I
little
feel like we're getting the weave.
further, I would have been hit. If I would have gone not as far, I would have been hit. I mean, I had like this little tiny moment. And the amazing thing is the sign is always on my left, and it's always at the end. And I only use it 20% of the time, maybe even less than that.
And
this
this
was
time
a
it's on the
chart.
right.
This was a chart on immigration
Yeah.
because I have the record. I did a great job in immigration. They are not.
Oh, speaking of which, chat, I've got the chart on. I wanted to show you this earlier. This is Trump's rallies. So the orange is 2016, the red is 2024, right? So again, we're not looking at 2020 because 2020 was a weird year. Not many people were doing, there weren't a lot of rallies in 2020. Let me just put it that way, right? But yeah, 2016, he starts off slow in June, does even less in July, starts to do more in August, a little bit less, really ramps it up on October, and actually does a lot of these rallies in November. So, right, compared to this year, he starts at less than half. Now, July, and that's the month where, you know, that's the month where this happened in Butler, Pennsylvania. That was July, right? I mean, he's doing closer to the normal amount, but still not quite there. August, really the same amount, really close to the same amount every month, and it's not much. He's not doing rallies. And that's why I think it's weird for him to show up in California. Right? Like he's in a deficit in terms of the rallies that he did in 2016 in all the swing states, and he's going to waste his time over here in California. Anyway.
Doing too well right now.
Stay on the breaking news. Stay on the breaking news.
So here's the breaking. So you have this shooter, and you have another shooter, right? Yeah. So this shooter had 3 or so cell phones.
Mm.
The FBI's never gotten them opened.
Wow.
The other shooter, 3 apps, they call them, and I believe they were foreign-based apps, from what I understand.
Oh, wow.
They haven't opened them, and they're foreign-based. And, you know, you hear all about Iran, because I was rough with Iran, but I want to see Iran do great. I want to see Iran do great.
Yeah.
But I want to stop all the killing and all this. And I was rough on Iran, and they supposedly have a hit on me. In fact, I think...
So, now, chat, if some of you are having trouble doing the weave, the reverse weave in your mind to figure out what this is all about, and you've just kind of zoned out, the question was, who do you think tried to shoot you? Right? It starts from there, and it gets all the way over here. Now we're talking about Iran. I want Iran to do well.
Courage for you people to be interviewing me, because it could be now, you know.
Yeah. Well, we didn't know that before we got in here.
No, if you would have known that, you might not have done this.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, this is a good way of me getting the interview to be shorter. Exactly. All of a sudden, he's going to say, you know, okay, that's it. Thank you very much.
You know, it would have been better if he'd cut it short.
Go see my daughter.
Yeah. They have 3 apps, and foreign-based, 2 of them, maybe 3 of them are foreign-based. They haven't opened them yet. Why wouldn't you?
Oh, okay, so...
about Iran, or when you hear about, you know, foreign...
So what he's talking about is the phones that have been found on the 2 shooters, and he's claiming that they're like refusing to open what you see. I think he's going to say like the iPhones, right? That an iPhone's more difficult to open, but they did they opened like the iPhone of Paul Pelosi's attacker or something like that. I don't know. It's his persecution complex that we're going to hear.
And the other one had 6 cell phones.
Pathtest says it was Elon.
And they haven't opened. Now, you know, it's very hard to open a cell phone. Only Apple can do it in theory, unless you have somebody. But they had no problem.
Debbie Cliff, I have no idea why my stream alerts aren't working, but thank you for the super chat. I started stream early today. Did I? I feel like I was so late on it.
Getting the J6 people cell phones open.
But thank you for the super chat.
Very quickly. You know, we have two countries in a way. What's happening here is very bad. It's very dangerous. We almost had one because I had the greatest economy in the history of our country and people were coming together. We almost had one, but we really do have two right now. And it's a shame because I think we'll get them together. Success will bring us together. But they should get those phones opened. And
there he is. There he is.
When there's an assassination attempt on a former president who's now, I'm proud to say, leading in all the polls against a Democrat, I don't know which one is running. You know, you don't know what the hell's going on. I'm the only one that had to run against two. I run against two Democrats, but this is a first.
Okay, I don't know what he thinks all the polls are, but no, he definitely is not leading in all the polls. I think maybe Real Clear Politics has him ahead right now. That's what he saw. It's got to be Real Clear Politics. I'm gonna call it, chat. Real Clear Politics aggregates polls, and maybe some polls that are not that serious. Maybe some polls that should not be trusted. In other words, right? And so you know their rolling average has, I think, currently Trump ahead. Right? It's very close, but yeah, Trump's ahead right now. Everything else that you look at as far as aggregators, including Nate Silver, who I think is also sort of biased in that direction too, has Kamala. Yeah, like he must have seen Real Clear Politics and seen, oh look, hey Dad, you're winning in Real Clear Politics, and he's like, oh, what's Real Clear Politics? Well, it's they aggregate all these polls together, and you know when you average everything together, you're in the lead, and you know he just was like, I'm leading in all the polls. There we go. I'm leading in all the polls. That's what that means. RCP, all the polls. Oh my God, chat. If you're an election nerd like me, you know why that's wrong. You know why that's ridiculous, right?
We create a lot of firsts. Usually you run against somebody. Here I run. I had the debate. I was way up on him. Yeah. And then they say, oh, let's put... This is like with Dana White fighting.
He still feels victimized by the fact that Joe Biden dropped out.
So you're fighting, and the one guy's getting killed. And they say, oh, that's okay. Let's put in another fighter to finish it off, okay? Yeah. And you're fighting. You say, hey, wait a minute. I have a brand new fighter in here.
WWE.
I spent $150 million on beating Biden. And then all of a sudden I hear that they're going to overthrow him. It was a coup. I mean, it really was. But I would like them to open up these apps and find out what's in there. And so he had 6.
Oh, my God. And he comes back to the phones. He's like, I was about to run against Biden, and we were beating Biden. And that's like when they pull out a boxer, and then they put in a fresh fighter. You can't do that. I've been fighting this whole time. What's inside the apps? Yeah. Well, no, he's acting like it's a conspiracy theory. He's actually, I mean, like this, like no wonder his following acts the way that they do. No wonder they have these wild, you know, and not just conspiracy theories, but they're like defaulting to conspiracy theories. It's just an automatic, like right to, oh, well, clearly they, this time the FBI, won't look into the iPhones, won't look into the apps, won't see, you know, the secret message that actually they are card-carrying Antifa super soldiers, or they are hired by Hillary Clinton, or I'm trying to think, who are... Rosie O'Donnell. Yes, that's it. That's what they'll find. They'll find messages with Rosie O'Donnell, and he'll be able to prove that it was actually Rosie O'Donnell that was trying to kill him the whole time. That's what it is. He needs that. He needs to get into those apps, chat. We need to prove it was Rosie O'Donnell.
Cell phones. Having 6 cell phones is weird. I have cell phones. If I ever have 2, it's like a lot.
Yeah.
He had 6 cell phones. Why does he have them? And why haven't they opened up those cell phones?
So if you had to
and
guess.
It's different, you know?
Because it's a big persecutory scandal and nobody treats our fucking man baby God King right. That's why. Because you're being gang stalked, Trump. That's...
If you're a drug dealer, I think it's terrible in many ways, but I guess from another standpoint, Apple, the primary...
But on the other hand, it could be really cool to be a drug dealer. Have you seen Breaking Bad? Yeah, no.
Group. People buy those phones because they will never open them for any reason. But they got them open.
I don't think this is true.
On J6. You know?
Like, he's making a claim that there's something that the FBI refuses to open, or like he thinks they should be able to open, and they got some open from January 6ers, so they should be able to open these. I don't know if he's saying iPhone or app. I'm guessing it's an app on the iPhone, but like, I don't believe this guy. I don't think this is true.
They opened up their phones, but they don't open.
I don't think even he knows if it's true, because this is the whole thing. Is people get in his ear, they explain something, he like half understands it, and then he repeats it on a show. Somebody told him something, right? To feed into his narcissistic, persecutory complex, but I don't think he even remembers. It was something about an app and an iPhone. The app on the iPhone, they could get it open for the Gen 6er, but they couldn't get it open for the weird debate lore from Pennsylvania, or the even weirder NAFO Ukraine fan from, was it North Carolina?
And this is big stuff. This is an assassination attempt.
The guy in Florida, was he from North Carolina? I feel like there's a strange North Carolina connection with Florida right now. The other person that was from North Carolina and ended up in Florida was Lieutenant Dan. Has chat heard about Lieutenant Dan? I feel like I should be talking about Lieutenant Dan instead of Trump.
And it could
There's a real life Lieutenant Dan now.
involve other countries.
There was that San Bernardino shooter that they hacked. The FBI was able
Now I'm doing the weave.
to hack into the phone. Apple didn't give it up, but they were able
There
to
are
hack in.
some people in the world, very few, that have an ability to sometimes be able to hack in.
Got it.
Very rarely.
There are some people in the world that have the ability to hack in to an iPhone, but it's not very many. And what the hell? What the hell?
Actually,
yeah,
it's an amazing thing when you think that with all the genius, you almost can't do it. But Apple has a key, and the key is open. I mean, it just, they can.
Apple has the key. They could do it if they wanted to, but Tim Apple won't do it for me.
And they don't do it. And that's one of the reasons that, like, I hate to say it, drug lords feel very confident that they'll never be exposed. And they use their cell phone.
Because Apple's just like, nope, we're going to protect the drug lords. We're going to protect the assassins. Nobody's going to see those secret messages with Rosie O'Donnell, because we know that's what it's in there. We all know it's secret messages with Rosie O'Donnell.
Maybe it's that way with other companies. I don't know. They have Samsung. They have other.
Trump does not look well in the freeze frame.
But it's very hard. Apple's very strong on that. But when it comes to the assassination of a president, leading candidate, former president.
So you're on here to try to badger Apple into like releasing the freaking files? Come on.
President, all that. I think the rules have to go out and they have to open those things, then they have to find out. And
In terms of national security,
some people would say you have to either punish Apple
or punish Rosie O'Donnell.
Or you have to get somebody that can.
We're going to take away her cats.
Do it.
Make her take care of children instead. She will no longer be the childless. No, I don't think. Wait, Rosie. Why am I making Rosie O'Donnell a childless cat lady? I don't know if that's true. I actually don't know anything about. All I know about Rosie O'Donnell, chat, is she's the arch enemy of Donald Trump. Right, when he started all this, right, his beef was with Rosie O'Donnell. His inappropriate, out-of-pocket shit that he would say would be about Rosie O'Donnell, right? That was his original Bette Noir, not to be confused with Bette Midler, but a Bette Noir.
In terms of national security, so the one guy has 6 phones, lots of messages to people.
We gotta punish Rosie O'Apple.
Who are those people he's calling?
It's Rosie O'Donnell, I'm telling you.
He's hiding behind a bush.
And Kathy Griffin, too. Yeah, remember Kathy Griffin with the Trump head? Obviously, that shows intent. Obviously, Kathy Griffin is involved, too. And Anderson Cooper. Oh, no. Why do I associate them? Oh, no, chat. I just remembered why I associate them. Do you know why I associate Kathy Griffin and Anderson Cooper? They used to do New Year's Eve together. And I think there was one year that Kathy Griffin was like hitting on Anderson Cooper. And Anderson Cooper, not interested in not interested in any women, apparently. But there Kathy Griffin was being completely And that was her whole thing, wasn't it? She would always get like out of pocket. But did she get drunk? I actually don't know, chat. I have vague rememberies. Yeah, rememberies. I have vague rememberies of New Year's Eve with Kathy Griffin and Anderson Cooper and some out of pocket shit going on, always from Kathy Griffin. And that's
If you had to guess, I'm sure you thought.
That's why, yeah, he's gay for real. Yeah. So he was not interested in that, but Kathy, didn't she, I think she had to apologize or something. Am I misremembering this? I hope I don't do this again, chat, because, like, you know, Jeffrey Toobin is the guy on, I think it was CNN, that accidentally left his video conference software on while he handled himself in a very intimate way and then got fired. But he claims that he didn't mean to do it. So I think he eventually started working again, right? But I always remember that as being Brian Stelter. I always remember that as Brian Stelter, who's another news person, but it's not. And I gotta not say that, because, like, this is technically defamatory if you say that somebody is responsible for Jeffrey Toobin's scandal. And you should remember that it's Toobin, because he's got the perfect name for somebody who handles his Toobin on Zoom.
It's an assassination attempt. If you had to guess, who do you think is responsible?
Yeah, City of Doors is maybe confirming what I had to say. She'd get crunk every New Year's Eve with Anderson Cooper. She had to apologize for making an infamous Photoshopped image. Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, the image. So what she really got in trouble for, City of Doors is reminding me of, is, and I won't show you this because I don't know if Twitch would be okay with it, but she did a Photoshop of herself holding like a bloody knife and what looked like Donald Trump's decapitated head. And it was pretty realistic. And she had to apologize. And she got blacklisted from everything.
These are great questions. What the hell? I don't get these questions from the fake news.
Yeah. Rosie O'Donnell's been asking
like
this.
Deface the Nation. They have the woman on Brennan. She's on Deface the Nation. She was terrible with the way she handled J.D. Vance, who did a great job the other night.
He did do a great job.
But I don't get questions like that. Did you ever hear of the show? Deface, ladies and gentlemen, it's Donald.
Oh, here we go.
Deface.
So we're starting to get good. So here's what I'm telling you. Maybe you didn't believe me at first, right? But now you're seeing it. Trump knows this is a comedy show. He knows that these guys are regarded as really funny guys. And he's playing along. He's telling jokes. And this is his first joke. I call it Deface the Nation. You know what I mean? It's really called Face the Nation, but I'm bad, so I call it Deface get it? He's doing his nickname thing with shows, with Sunday morning irrelevant news shows like Face the Nation. This is shit that was like big, back in the day when television was a thing, but nobody watches these things anymore. And he thinks he's being smart by talking about Deface the Nation. By the way, he's also stealing, this is a Rush Limbaugh joke. I'm pretty sure that Rush Limbaugh came up with this joke, unless he stole it from somebody else, right? He's stealing jokes, which I've been accused of doing as well. But when I steal jokes, I improve them. Demon Mama. Trump is just stealing. Stealing from the corpse of Rush Limbaugh.
The Nation. It's called Face the Nation.
Oh, you're very funny. Yeah, that's very funny. He calls it Deface the Nation, but it's really called Face the Nation. And they hate it when I call them that, but I love to call them that.
They spend.
Give him a massage. Give him a massage. Rub his shoulders.
Oh, I see. You didn't hear of it. That's good. They spend.
What is even going on?
Millions of dollars on the name CBS. Yeah. And then I come along and I say it's Face the Nation. Well done.
Yeah.
or meet the fake press. You know, meet the press.
You're good at this.
I say meet the fake press.
Yeah.
And they spend all this money, and then I say it once, and it goes to millions of people.
Yeah.
But no, they are fake. But some of these questions are much better.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm honored.
Much better.
You still haven't answered, though.
That was the best dodge of a question.
That was almost, that's your second best dodge in your life.
You almost charmed us out of it.
Trying to get out of it.
Wait, what? Okay, so they're trying to get him back to that question.
Much better.
You still haven't answered, though.
Yeah. Remember, this all started with, who do you think shot at you? Who do you think was going after you? Like, you've obviously got a conspiratorial mindset, right? With whom are you placing the blame? And is it Rosie O'Donnell?
To millions of people. Yeah. But no, they are fake. But some of these questions are much better.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm honored.
Much better.
You still haven't answered, though.
That was the best dodge of a question.
That was almost, that's your second best dodge in your life.
You almost charmed us out of it.
Trying to get out of it.
All right, fair enough.
Well, look, if you look at assassinations or attempts, first of all, you realize I'm in a very dangerous.
See, now that was supposed to be a funny exchange, but the feeling that I get from that is that he really does have a conspiratorial idea, right? That in his mind, he can answer that question. He thinks he knows who was coming after him, but he's been told not to share that information. Or, I don't know, maybe he thinks he's really in danger from some shadowy force. Rather than the Occam's razor answer, which is that two weird, slightly right-wing dudes got weird on this guy with assault weapons, right? That's the information that we have right now, right? Two weird guys were weird to this weird guy with a weird firearm. That's what happened. But no, it's got to be conspiracy. It's got to be Iran. It's got to be whatever. I don't know what he's going to say.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Probably Iran. That's my guess. That's my guess as far as who he blames.
Because 1/10, think of this, 1/10 of 1% of auto races die.
Yep.
Bull riders, I think that's pretty dangerous, right?
Yeah,
I don't know much about it, but I think I wouldn't want to be on one of those suckers.
No. Yeah.
I see them flying off and the hoof is like an inch from the eye, and when it hits the eye, you're gone,
Game
right?
over. Yeah.
And they are very, well, it's about the same. 1/10 of 1%.
Yeah.
And other things, it's never much more than that. That's sort of maxed out, I think. You know,
Yeah.
race car drivers, bull riders, I think that's pretty much tough.
Yeah.
UFC fighters, it's none. You know, I don't think anyone's ever actually...
Not in UFC. In MMA or boxing,
Maybe.
unfortunately,
It must
there was
be.
those tragic events. Yeah.
Amazingly, boxers die a lot. But UFC, Dana tells me it's a safe sport. I say, to me, it's much rougher. But, you know, it's pretty amazing. They've never, in UFC, they've never lost. And they run a great operation. Nobody's died. But with presidents, it's like a substantial percentage.
Way higher than we realize.
When you look at Lincoln and Kennedy and this and that. I mean,
attempts,
you go
Reagan.
through McKinley.
Yep. Garfield.
You look at a lot of people. I'm in a very dangerous
business.
profession.
Yeah.
I call it a profession.
Testing? Okay.
Dangerous profession.
I like that.
I'm sitting with you guys. You have a very nice, safe life. Me?
Yeah.
So, no, if you said 5%.
I think he called us soft.
No,
Yeah,
but think
I'm fine
of
with
it.
that.
Yeah, but think of it. 5%.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's high.
That's a lot.
I
And
think even the attempts is something like
Attempts?
25%
Yeah.
of
attempts
presidents have had
is getting
attempt.
into really
It's crazy.
numbers. So people don't think of that. You know, you run and you see, and then you win, and you're down Pennsylvania, you're looking at everything. So you're in a
that's the
danger
danger.
for, though, that, you know, I do a thing called the weave.
Oh, the weave.
For those that are,
Oh no, chat.
this guy is so genius. And then others would say, oh, he rambled. I don't ramble. If I saw the story, what you do is you weave things and you do it. You have to have certain things. You need an extraordinary memory because you have to come back to where you started.
Yes.
You always, a weave is only good
They
if
don't
you
give you
come
credit
back.
for that.
Yeah, it's true.
That you could go all the way over here and then
I
get
can
back.
go so far here or there, and I can come back to exactly where I started.
Now, someday when you don't come back to where you started,
You're Biden.
then you say, no, but the weave is the way. When you're telling like a story, I was telling a story at a rally the other day in front of thousands of people, and I started off, and then
You were weaving them up.
something in the story,
Bro.
I actually mentioned Air Force One. It was Air Force One was there, so I mentioned Air Force One, and then I said,
Oh my God, chat.
$6 billion off the price of Air Force One. So, but then you have to come back to the story. Where was Air Force One taking you?
As
So anyway, I do a weave.
He is literally explaining his mental process to them.
I call it the weave. And some people think it's so genius, but the bad people, what they say is, you know, he was...
The bad people, though, like some people are like, oh, that's great. You do the weave. That's awesome. You're not rambling at all, right? And then the bad people, they say, no, actually, you are rambling and you are every bit as much in cognitive decline as Joseph Biden. It's kind of amazing that you had somebody like Biden so that no one would talk about your cognitive decline. And wow, is it apparent right now? Is it apparent right now, right? That's what the bad people say. But the good people say, he does the weave. He does the weave.
It's not a ramble, but there's no rambling.
This is a
with it.
weave.
This is a weave. I call it the weave.
Maybe it's Dick Cheney says Canadian brunch. That's a deep cut.
Good name. I'm not sure. That's another name. We had fake news.
Yeah,
We came
yeah.
up with lots of names.
Yeah.
But the weave is, I think we should make the weave a part of that stable.
Yeah, you really weaved right answering my question twice.
That's brilliant.
So
'Cause I don't even want to know the answer anymore.
Yeah.
See, it's like he's so dopey that he forgot what the question was, and he thinks that the interviewer is gonna have like he's got it's the phenomenon where you think that somebody else's mental process is just like yours, and because you had a hard time following the flow of conversation, and as he's describing it, he's saying what's good about the weave is that you remember every little part of it, so that you know after you talk about 6 different things, you come back to the first thing, and it all weaves together nice and beautifully, right? As he's forgetting what he was originally talking about, right? So he's not even doing the weave. In fact, his description of the weave is another tangent. His description of the weave is him rambling.
I lost interest.
We'll weave back. Let's weave back to his question. Because this is where it started. So we'll weave back to his. I sort of hate answering it because I don't want to give.
Again, apologies, chat. I feel like the first half of this was really dull. Trust me, it gets good. It gets really good here, right? This is where the good stuff starts coming, right? His persecution complex is coming out. He's explaining the weave. There's going to be more too. Right? There's a real crucial moment here where they talk about honesty. Some of you may have seen it already. Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it for the rest of chat.
Any false identities. I don't want to do anything having to do with creating something that isn't there. You would look at Iran. Iran has an open threat out for me, and that's bad. And Biden, if he were a real president, if he were the kind of guy he should be.
So he's kind of saying it without saying it then.
Should say, if anybody shoots a former president who's now the leading candidate, even though he's leading against Democrats, we will bomb that country into oblivion. And it would stop. And that's...
Okay, I'm sorry. He thinks it's Iran. Like I said, I thought that's what it was. He mentions Iran in that context. And the way he's talking is like Joe Biden should, I don't know, bomb Iran, nuke Iran, attack Iran, do regime change in Iran, destroy Iran. Because they're definitely coming after the former president. And it would all stop. That's what he said. That's what he said. Joe Biden should threaten military action against a country based on the unsubstantiated claims that they're behind these attacks on Trump. So as much as he said, I'm trying to weave, I'm trying to avoid the question, this is me dodging the question, right? There it is. Who does he think did it? He thinks it's Iran. To the point where he's saying that Joe Biden should fucking threaten them. That is ludicrous. That is ludicrous, and that is narcissistic as fuck. The whole country goes to war over an unsubstantiated threat to this guy.
It's been said before with some people. You know, there have been people, I won't go into it, but there have been people that have been threatened in another party even. In the same party, it makes sense and probably happens pretty quickly. But in another party, you know, it's hard for them to
cross the line.
To want to protect me. But it shouldn't be hard. Other people have protected other people. And what you have to inform those...
They protect other people. They protect Jimmy Carter. They protect George W. Bush. They protect Barack Obama. They protect Bill Clinton. Why won't they protect me? I'm going to throw a freaking tantrum until Biden protects me.
People is, if they do it, the country will be blown to smithereens. The entire country will be...
Do you know what smithereens are? They're very small. They're small, little, tiny, like...
blown to smithereens. And those threats go away, because that's a really bad threat for a country. Forget about me. I'm an individual. But I represent something very important. It's true. That's a really terrible threat. So, I mean, there are others that could be in that category. Look, I took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China at a level that no president...
So wait. No, he thinks it's Iran. And he thinks that a threat should be made by the president of the United States on the prospect of it actually being Iran, but it also could be China. Hey, why don't you threaten Iran and China, right? Why don't you take all of the near-peer world powers and put them on blast over the chance that they were responsible, that they were involved in the attempted assassinations? Great idea, Donald. Great idea.
No president took in anything. I had tariffs on China, took in hundreds of billions of dollars. They're still there. That without me, they wouldn't have those tariffs on. So you could say, but no,
Everyone make sure your passports are good. God damn. I let mine lapse.
I think Iran would be the one.
All right, guys, let's take a break.
Wow, that's the second break that we've had so far. That's okay. What is this one? Trump loves the weave?
It was tough with other countries, but I got along very well with them. But you know, we were like a pussycat. We were ripped off by every nation in the world, and some of the worst rippers were our so-called allies. People,
the worst rippers,
that countries that we supposedly get along with, but they're the ones that took advantage of us on trade at a level like, you know, I mean, I ended some of the dumbest trade deals I've ever seen and made them much better for the country. I mean, what difference does it make? I took a terrible trade deal, would make it a good trade deal. But like Japan, I redid the trade deal. South Korea, I did the trade deal. The deals. I went to Abe of Japan. I said, Shinzo, he was assassinated. He was as you probably know, he was incredible, great man. He was a great leader for the people. They loved him. I said, Shinzo, look, we can't do this. The trade deal is so bad. We're friends, but I have to renegotiate.
The late, great Jack the Ripper.
And he said to me, I knew that would happen. I said, why did you know? Because you're right. It's so one-sided.
Wow.
It's like, he said, I knew you'd catch us. But they went through many presidents where Japan was, as an example, they'll send us millions of cars. We're not allowed to send them any. They send us their farm product. We were sending them practically nothing. It was like a one-way.
Hey, I would like to get some Japanese farm products.
Everything was one way. And by the way, virtually China was the worst, but there were many countries almost as bad. The European Union was almost as bad, in my opinion. You know, it sounds nice. Oh, the European Union.
It sounds all well and good. Oh, European Union. But then you hear that, read the fine print. Oh, European Union, that sounds good. I like European things, but it turns out
they were ruthless in their trading. And I said to Angela Merkel, how many Chevrolets do we have in the middle of Berlin? Why? I don't believe any. I said, you're right. And yet we take in all of that. We take in Mercedes-Benz and BMW, and we take in all of this Volkswagen. We're taking in all of these millions and millions of cars. I say, how many American cars are in the middle of Munich or Berlin? And the answer is none. And I had things change around. So, you know, you could say, I think that the answer would be, at this moment, Iran. And I think they could catch him. And if we had a real president, which we don't.
My goggle says, well, Europeans are ruthless.
Real president. We have a man that is grossly inept. And it's very dangerous because these guys are all at the top of their game. When you talk about President Xi and you talk about any one of the leaders in the world, Macron, and he's a smart guy. He's all for France. I mean, he would take the shirt off your back if you didn't know what you were doing.
So when you're with these guys, are these guys all sharks?
Yeah.
And you can sense the energy immediately?
Yeah, not all of them, but some of them aren't sharks in terms.
How are you assessing?
Oh, come on, get him talking about sharks. Come on.
Okay, well, I can tell you, like,
Great.
Modi.
No, get back to the sharks.
He's a friend of mine. He's great. He's the nicest.
India.
Yeah.
This is for you.
Oh, good. Well, I'll tell you. Do you like him or not?
Yeah.
Do you like him?
I have family on both sides, though.
Okay,
I have
well,
family
let me
that
tell
loves
you.
everything and family
I'll just
that's
tell
not.
you, though. You need him. I know. Well, they had, you know, before him, they were replacing him every year. It was very unstable.
Yeah, of course he loves the fucking most fascist president of India.
He's in a lot.
He's great. He's a friend of mine. But on the outside, he looks like he's your father. He's the nicest. Total killer.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He reminds you of your father. Are we hearing too much?
Yeah.
It's getting a little personal here.
They did a thing called Howdy Modi in Houston, Texas.
Oh, yeah.
And they filled up the stadium. It was me and him. We filled up the stadium. It was beautiful. Like 80,000 people. It was going crazy. And we're walking around today. Maybe I wouldn't be as. Maybe you wouldn't do that. But we're walking in the middle, waving to everybody. Anyway, but we have a very good relationship. He's the nicest human being. But we had a couple of occasions where somebody was threatening India. I said, let me help. I'm very good with those people. Let me help. I will do it. I will do it. And I will do anything necessary. We've defeated them for hundreds of years.
Wow.
He was talking about a certain country. Okay?
Yeah.
You can probably get
Pakistan?
Yeah.
Can't fathom which.
You know the country.
Yeah.
But I said, whoa, what happened there?
Did I go over the Elon stuff yet? Not yet.
So, no, they're all tough.
We're still getting flagrant with Trump. Doesn't Trump plan on replacing electric chair with the great white shark as his preferred method of execution? I don't know. He's scared of sharks.
And they're all smart. And some are very good people. He's a good person. There's some are good people and some aren't good people. But they're all at the top of their game. And we have her, who is, you know, now more important than him, I guess, although he's still president of this country. And we're talking about nuclear war, and he's not capable. He doesn't even know what it is. He said yesterday, when they talked about should they hit Iran's nuclear, no, you shouldn't do that. I said, no, it's sort of just the opposite, because the nuclear is the biggest threat we have in the world today. It's not global warming.
Okay, so now Iran doesn't have nuclear weapons. What Iran has is nuclear power plants. That's what he's saying that should be hit. It's more like hundreds of years, says Davi.
Where the oceans are rising 1/8 of an inch in the next 500 years.
Right.
The threat that we have, the biggest threat.
Oh my God, you can't say that shit. You can't say that shit. The southeast of the United States just got hit by 2 hurricanes, at least one of which was made much worse by virtue of the temperature, the above normal temperature in the Gulf of Mexico. He's so full of shit. He's like, oh, what's it going to do? It's going to raise 1/8 of an inch? Oh, no, it's going to fucking kill people. And it probably already has.
That is nuclear war.
Yeah.
You seem concerned about that.
I am, because it only takes one. I am.
Very true.
There are 5 countries now that have capability, and soon they'll have more. And we shouldn't let there be more. And I was at a point very good, despite the Russia hoax. It was a total hoax, and we were totally exonerated and everything.
The way you say that is not like an innocent person. The Russia hoax, you know, we were totally innocent of that, and we didn't do anything, and we were exonerated, and you know, everything, like, it's not really a scandal. Just so you know, no, it's totally normal.
I could have told them that the first day, but that causes, you know, a lot of problems.
Yeah.
A lot of problems, and they're a big nuclear power. We were close to a deal for getting rid of nuclear weapons. It would be so good.
For
Now,
all countries or just Russia?
We were talking about Russia, ourselves, and China.
Oh, wow.
And we would then bring everyone else into it. And
so you all
strongly.
you all would get rid of your nuclear capabilities?
Denuclearize, yes. We were going to get rid
Totally
of
denuclearized.
nuclear because it's too powerful.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Yeah.
You know, my uncle, Dr. John Trump, was the
Country doctor.
Yeah, Dr. John Trump. Well, he was a nuclear
Dr. Hannibal Lecter Trump.
doctor. Actually, he was at MIT. He's the longest-serving professor at MIT. He passed away. Great guy. He was a brilliant guy, a brilliant scientist, and he used to tell me. He said, a long time ago, he'd say, Donald, someday it's very dangerous. Somebody will be able to carry a small briefcase into a building in New York and blow up the entire.
Okay, so the shit that he just said was madness, right? Yeah, now he's anti-nuclear weapons, right? Now that's, I say it's madness because it's not. It's not something that the countries that use their military to control the world are gonna do. Give up control like that, right? It's something that should happen. It's something that the world should do, but it's not something that I don't know where it's coming from, right? Like this was never a possibility. What they have done is had like strategic arms treaties like SALT I and SALT II, in which the United States agree and the former Soviet Union would agree to get rid of a certain number of their nuclear weapons at certain dates, right? I mean, like that is, you know, something that started but didn't really continue. And I think both the United States and the Soviet Union have, you know, refurbished and replenished their stock. Soviet Union and Russia, the Russian Federation have now. But yeah, I mean, like it's something that should happen. It's just not something that could happen. And the way that he is talking about this is like it was something that was going to happen, but then Biden, I guess. Everybody's on board but Biden.
Oh,
wow.
I said, you gotta be kidding me.
Because he doesn't know what nuclear weapons are. He means the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council.
Uncle John, that will never happen. He was like a really brilliant guy. He was there for, I think, 41 years. He's the longest serving professor in the history of MIT.
Oh, wow.
So when I understand physics and when I understand
Davy says he's talking about the plot to the 4th Superman movie.
things well, they say, how come there's good genetics. You know, I'm a believer. Are you guys believers in that? Were your parents?
Oh my God, are you believers in eugenics?
Yeah, my mom
He fucking casually brings up eugenics. Are you a big believer in genetics? Yeah, that's right. There's good people and there's bad people and there's good genes and there's bad genes. And
is Scottish. And,
Fellow Scottish, yeah.
Oh.
Scottish women tend to be
You know,
pretty-
my mom.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about that, yeah.
And she was great.
Which, is that where you get your humor
Yeah,
from?
well, I'll tell you what. England at the time, they fought them for 1,000 years trying to get them under toe. They couldn't do it.
trying to dominate the world of humor.
Couldn't do it.
Who would win, the Scottish or the British?
Very tough.
Whose humor would prevail?
My mother, come to think of it. Now, my mother was great. She was Stornoway.
Yeah.
The Hebrides, right? That's really serious Scottish.
Yeah.
But she was great. But it is true when you see Braveheart. That was one of many times, you know, for hundreds of years.
Did you watch that with your mom by any chance?
No, I didn't. I didn't get to. I'll tell you, I saw Braveheart I think Mel Gibson is a very good guy. I've met him
Oh no.
a number of times. Good guy, but I'll tell you that.
I can think of a number of ways in which he's not a good guy, but I guess if you're a eugenicist, maybe you kind of low-key agree with him on a lot of stuff.
Gibson in his prime.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So,
yeah.
and I was on
Stolen Valor Trump.
a plane, and there was absolutely nothing to do. It was one of these planes that you couldn't make calls, you couldn't do, and they had tapes.
That's all planes for us.
And they showed me like,
Wait, Nugenics? Is that like Ted Nugent's new eugenics?
no, but they showed me.
Is that where Ted Nugent gives everybody cat scratch fever?
They showed me, sir, we have 20 tapes. And I looked at the tapes, and they were all, and this was like 20 years after it was made. This was probably 6 years ago.
Braveheart, what an amazingly historic film.
I never saw Braveheart.
Okay.
And
Oh, wow.
they showed me a tape. I said, all right, let's put that one on. And within about 4 minutes, I said, this may be the greatest movie I've ever seen.
Incredible. It's incredible.
Within 4
No,
minutes.
I'm a Braveheart fan, but you've seen it.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude,
yeah.
I saw it with my mom.
I
She
mean,
was
how good?
emotional for like a
That's-
week.
I wish I saw it with
Yeah.
my mother, but it was great.
Was that your Braveheart moment? Like after
Trump is incredibly unpopular in Scotland.
getting shot when you stood up?
No,
and
no,
No, I'll never
you
take
don't
my
think
freedom.
of that in those moments. You do what you do.
Yeah, thank God you weren't thinking about Mel Gibson. And
No, but he's good. But he was when he in prime time, he was great.
unbelievable.
I mean, at
What a
that,
run.
you know, his look, his way, you couldn't have had a better
Yeah.
guy playing it. But that was a great movie. So,
Yeah.
but it is true, England, and you know,
Scotland fought
at
for
the
years.
time, for 1,000 years. I
yeah.
mean, they'd have the battles with thousands or once at thousands,
Yeah.
and they run at each other.
Yeah.
Tell me that.
I
You
mean,
think,
the-
you
yeah.
think that takes guts?
They run at each other.
Run at each other,
I think so.
knowing they're gonna pretty much die, right?
the Roman army built walls to keep out the Scottish when they were up in England.
yeah. They were
Yeah.
afraid of the Scottish.
They were afraid.
The Scottish people, they're tough people. They're good people. Actually, they're very great people, but they're good fighters.
But your mom was funny.
She was funny, yes.
That's what I hear.
She
I
was-
hear.
That was the point you were trying to make.
I hear she
She
was.
had a great sense
Just to bring Unc back to the point.
of humor. And my father loved my mother. You know, they were married for,
Yeah. Polar opposites, though.
yeah, my father was German,
Serious.
serious, but good. He was a tough guy, but he had a good heart. When he walked down the street, and they would say we could walk down the street,
Yeah.
he would always give something to, if there was somebody that had problems. He used to have the can and a pencil, you know, the can out. My father would always put $100
He would-
in that thing.
He would throw the $100 in coins into the can, and then it would bounce the pencils out. And my father would grab up all the pencils, and then beat the guy up and take the can.
No, he had a tremendous heart, but he was a tough guy. He was tough. He was just like no nonsense. It was firm. My mother was a woman, and I don't know how your mother felt, but
My mother was a woman. I don't know about your mother, but I just wanted to mention that my mother was a woman. It's very important that we clarify that my mother was a woman.
he was tough. He was just like no nonsense. It was firm. My mother was a woman, and I don't know how you.
It's not even my mother was a woman, the kind of woman that doesn't, put up with any nonsense, right? It's just like my mother was a woman, and then moving on.
He was tough. He was just like no nonsense. It was firm. My mother was a woman, and I don't know how your mother felt, but she loved the Queen. Don't forget, the Queen was,
She revered the Queen.
The Queen was great. Oh, would she?
What? His mother was an American, right? It's his grandparents that were immigrants, right? Not his parents.
Because the Queen honored me before she died. She
Really?
honored me as the president in Buckingham Palace. And there's nobody that does it like the English. There's nobody that has that, the pomp and ceremony. But my mother would have loved that. Your mother, so
Davy Cliff says, my mother was a birthing person, alternate universe woke Trump.
Did she feel strongly about like the royalty?
I think they're obsessed with the royal family out there, like in general.
Your mother would have been.
She was really into all the pageantry for sure.
My mother was.
Yeah.
My mother thought the Queen was great.
Yeah.
She thought the Queen was so wonderful.
Some of my family hates the English, though. I will be honest.
I know.
There's some history there.
I know. But a lot of it's a hard breakup. You know, they tried to break up Scotland from the rest of the empire, so to speak.
Because they got some oil.
And it made it by about like a half a point.
Yeah.
They kept it together, so I hope it stays together. I hope it always stays together. But England, as they say, because it used to be England, but England never could. And they were bigger.
Yeah.
And they had more people.
Yeah.
They could never finish.
I bet I got
capturing Scotland. So it's really sort of.
They ended up having to marry together.
But they did capture Mel Gibson. Oh.
They married.
Yeah.
They became sort of subsidiaries, right?
I guess. Yeah.
But it was great. That's interesting with your mother.
Guys, that little chunk.
That little chunk. How about this little chunk?
Okay, so the humor comes from there, maybe some other things, because I think that's one thing that there's bipartisan support for you is even the people that are like, I don't like that guy, will go, hey, he's funny though. He says the funny things. Have you heard this before about it?
Yeah, I've heard it.
It's very disarming humor.
Yeah, but in my business, in what I do, if you don't have humor, you won't even survive.
Wait, why is that?
Because I think you have to have a light side. I see a lot of dark things. I see horrible things. I see things that are bad. I see political things that are hard. I mean, we have a lot of corrupt people in this country, and I see it. And horrible corrupt people. We have people that, you know, I really do. We have, from the inside, we have really bad people, and outside we do, but I think the outside is better. I think it's easier to handle China. If you have a smart president who knows, you know, some things, if you had who knows how to deal, let's say, you're not going to have a problem with Russia. Russia would have never attacked Ukraine if I were president. I used to talk to Putin about it. I got along great with him. They would have never.
Putin was always like, yo, can I invade Ukraine? And Trump was like, don't do it, Vladimir. Don't do it. And then when he called Biden and be like, yo, Biden, can I invade Ukraine? Biden was like, whatever. Dude, you know.
Never, ever done it. I ended his pipeline, you know. I ended the pipeline called Nord Stream 2. Nobody ever heard of Nord Stream 2.
Yeah.
I said, are you?
Well, definitely nobody heard of Nord Stream 2 after Dark Brandon took care of it.
Building a pipeline going to Europe? Yeah, I said, I don't think so.
It's weird that he's bragging about being against the pipeline that Biden literally destroyed.
And I told, I got them together. I said, you mean we're defending you from Russia and you're paying them billions of dollars a month for oil? It's not going to work that way. And I ended it. And then when Biden came in, he gave it back. The biggest project they ever had, right? He gave it back. And then everyone said, Trump is friends with Putin and stuff. Putin would say, if you're my friend, I'd hate like hell to see you as my enemy. Think of it. And I put a lot of sanctions on. But I got along with Russia. I got along with pretty much everybody. Actually, the tougher they were, the better I did with them. That's a good thing, not a bad thing. Because
it means that you have a similar temperament to authoritarian leaders of various countries.
The other ones are easier to handle. But the ones that I got along with, and they're also the bigger threats. I got along very well with President Xi of China. But
I want him to stumble into something where he starts talking about, like, you know, if only I'd been around in World War II, I could have gotten along well with Hitler. Maybe we never would have had to have a war.
When COVID came, I was not happy with him.
People just didn't handle Hitler right. You got to be tough with Hitler.
I mean, they released it from accidentally, I believe. You know, a lot of people would say it wasn't an accident, but they got hit very hard. They got hit as hard as anybody in the world. You know, it was late. It was belated. It was a late hit.
Yeah.
But when COVID came, I made an unbelievable trade deal with China. They have to buy $50 billion of our product every year. It was nobody could believe I got that deal done. I don't even talk about it because of COVID. I don't even talk about it. That deal is unbelievable. And what's happened now, our farmers have been hit because Biden hasn't pressed them to honor the deal. You know,
Is he going to talk about sending the COVID test to Russia? He hasn't admitted that yet. He has not. It came out through Bob Woodward.
Every day I'd get up. How much did China buy today? Sir, they bought. I'd call him up and say, you're behind. You have to buy 50 billion. Do you think Biden does that? Biden's sleeping. But over the last week, I have, what we talk about.
See, the Sleepy Joe, you're killing the joke. You're overusing that joke. I don't even think that Sleepy Joe jokes are funny anymore.
Funny or sad. I think it's
like he's trying to make Biden a thing again, and the problem is Biden's not a thing. Biden is over.
More sad than
funny. Biden could not be more irrelevant.
He has one ability I don't have. Yeah. He sleeps. He can sleep. This guy.
But no, when he's saying that, he's not just saying, like, he's not just doing the Sleepy Joe thing. But when he says he's got one ability that I don't have, right? Apparently, Trump, like, sleeps with one eye open. Trump is too high anxiety to really fully sleep. And, you know, that jibes with his 3 a.m. tweet storms or truth storms.
Goes on a beach and he lays down on one of those, you know, 6 ounce, they weigh 6 ounces and he can't lift it.
He misses Joe so much. They really were made for each other, true.
No, they're meant for children, young people, and old people to lift. They're aluminum, you know, hollowed aluminum. They weigh very little, and he can't lift. And somebody convinced him he looks good in a bathing suit. And when you're 82, typically bathing suits aren't going to make you look great. You're not going to be enhanced. All right? It's just one of those things. I can't be sure about that, but...
I don't know, Chad. I think he's wrong about this. Like, I don't think that... He's literally saying when you're, like, a certain age, you should what? Not wear a bathing suit? Not go out in the ocean? Like, no. Joe Biden, if he, like... He doesn't want to be seen without his shirt on. It's just more of his vanity.
Typically, you know,
depends what he's packing. He could.
I don't know what the hell he's packing.
I mean, it's Biden, right? Like father, like son. So it's probably.
But I don't want to, and I don't want to know either. I don't know, but he has an ability to fall asleep.
I mean, thanks to MAGA, we know what Hunter's looks like
while on camera.
We know that one's big.
Lie down on one of
Does Biden even bench?
And in minutes, he's stone cold out.
How does he do it?
And he's got cameras because he's the president, so they have cameras on him. And then they show him sleeping on the beach. You'll never see me sleeping in front of camera.
How do we get you better at that? Like, what can we do?
He's literally talking about what is very obviously like a media image, which, like, yeah, like presidential candidates. Like, this is part of their meta. They want to look powerful. If you fall asleep, it doesn't actually matter, but it might look like it matters. If there is an image of you asleep, it might be a bad look, right? This is a conversation for the campaign managers. This isn't a conversation about, and it's so blatant. It's so, you never catch me sleeping. You never see that. I'll make sure that my image is maintained. Yeah, this guy has worked the media all of his fucking life.
How do we work on that?
As Donald J. Trump sleeps in a thong?
As a country?
Yeah.
We got to save our country. Look, we are a nation in decline, whether you like it or not.
I hate hearing that.
I know. I hate
that.
It.
Hurts me. That hurts me. As a proud American, I.
Well, what you like though is, but we're going to be greater than ever before.
So that's, I think, the messaging that I think. I think that's really nice
to hear. Well, that's my ultimate message. But you can't avoid the fact.
He's just letting Trump manage his opinion in real time.
That we've allowed 21 million people into our country in the last 3.5 years. And I don't know your persuasion. I don't know if you guys are liberal or what, but nobody can be happy with 21 million people openly walking into a place we don't know. And it was released last week that 13,000 of those people are murderers. 13,099. 13,000 of those people are in prison. They're incarcerated for murder, and they let him out.
I think you have support on this, though. I think everybody...
Tremendous.
You know what he doesn't have support on? What he just said about the confirmation that there are people coming into the country or like murder or like were imprisoned. Like the story of people being let out of prison and somehow transported to the border. That's what other countries are doing. Like, opening up their prisons, letting these people out, and giving them an all expenses paid trip to the United States? That's what you're gonna claim? And look, there's no pushback from Schulz, right? I mean, we will get some comedy juice out of this lemon, but yeah, it's kind of a lemon party.
Regardless,
I think I'll let you know. I'll let you know on November 6th.
Yeah.
if I have support.
Yeah.
The
But I
day
don't
after
think-
the election.
I don't think there's
November 5th,
pushback.
the most important day.
Yeah,
No,
I
I'll
think
let you
people
know.
are agreeing they want a strong border. And I don't think that's an issue that's like tearing the country apart. But I do think that there is something
There are some people that want to open, and they're either.
But they're like politicians that are getting some sort of reinforcement
Yeah.
through this. The average American, I don't think, is going,
Or
we
they hate
need
our
an
country.
open border. Yeah.
I think only a person that hates our country, actually, maybe it's a down deep hatred, can want open borders. So we took in.
A new CIA drone pilot saying that's what the U.S. did with MS-13 members being deported to El Salvador and Guatemala after those gangs were born in the California prison system. Well, so yeah, so you're saying the gangs were born, not the people.
More than 21 million.
We're not talking about oh my god, what the fuck is his name? Emporio situation here.
People in the last 3.5 years, and we have no idea where they even come from. They're terrorists, they're drug dealers. You know, in Venezuela, and it's not just South America, but take Venezuela. They've taken their criminals off the streets of Caracas, which was a very dangerous city. You couldn't walk across the street in Caracas and get a loaf of bread. Right now, it's a safe city. Their crime is down 72%. They've taken all of their criminals, almost all of them, and they brought them into the United States. And
Yeah, he's absolutely full of shit, and the whole phenomenon of immigration from Venezuela is very much the result of his foreign policy. He implemented more stringent sanctions against Venezuela that eviscerated the country, and that fueled a lot of the immigration that went on. So how fucked up is it that Donald Trump, 1, is causing the immigration, 2, is demagoguing against immigrants, is campaigning on there's immigration that you caused, right? And 3, when offered up the bill that he wanted passed on a silver platter by the Biden administration, changed his mind and told the Republican members of Congress to vote against that. How disingenuous, how dishonest, how full of shit is this guy?
Yeah.
That's not ending well. You know where some of them went? To Aurora in Colorado.
Here we go. We got to Aurora. So we got to get the Tren de Aragua folks. They're coming in. They're taking over the apartments. No one's able to have an apartment because they're taking them out, and they put the Venezuelan gang in. They put them right into the apartment. They come up with their.
They took over the town. They took it over.
The whole town?
They took over the whole town. They're eating the cats and dogs.
You know how they took it over? With guns. If they went in
with guns. You know how they took it over? You know how they took it over? I was going to say with real estate. No, with guns. I'm sorry.
The real estate business, like me, I had to go to a bank and borrow.
Yeah.
They went in with
guns.
MK-47s, or they went in with.
I'm sorry. That's the second time he said that. Some of you in chat know it's called an AK-47, not an MK-47. Now, the only thing that I can imagine that Trump is thinking of is the MK Ultra program, which was a CIA program in like the 50s and 60s where they would literally get these people like high. And there's weird stories about MK Ultra.
Weapons like nobody's ever seen before. You know,
DC Bain was also born in a prison. MK-47s, hell yeah.
Military-style weapons. They've taken
MK-47s.
But I think most people are on board with deporting any illegal that has committed a crime.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's bipartisan support of that. I think the tricky thing comes, and honestly, I have empathy. Like, you're a business owner.
Yeah.
There's been people, I'm not trying to out you, but like there's been people I'm sure that might not have had like legal citizenship that have maybe worked in various businesses.
that's true.
And it's like, you know, I've definitely been taken care of as a kid by people that weren't legal, babysitters and stuff. So there are people that maybe would like a path to citizenship that I have a lot of empathy for.
You have to start with the criminals.
Agreed.
Okay, look,
But
I
maybe,
have to-
but maybe we can.
It's very tough.
Maybe we can open our hearts
So he's trying to argue Trump out of his immigration policy.
a little bit to the people who are trying to be, you know, good hard work.
He's actually arguing against Trump's mass deportation plan.
And you know what's going to happen? You're going to be in the
And he's like, just take the ones that have committed crimes, deport them.
midst of this. Now, you know, Dwight Eisenhower was sort of a moderate, General Eisenhower. Did you know that they had 8% generals, president of the United States, 8% were generals, 92% were politicians, and then you had Trump. See, that's a weave. You know, we go off it just for a second.
It's definitely a weave.
Because now I'm like, where are we weaving
No,
to?
no.
Where are we weaving to?
Into this.
No, think of it, because we're talking about generals, and then you get back onto the general.
There you
Because
go.
what I was going to say is that Eisenhower
I like the
is a
play-by-play
moderate.
for the week.
No, it's good, though. Isn't it great? We go into it, we mention Eisenhower, and then I say he was a general, 8% generals, 92%.
8% generals, 92% politicians, 1% Trump.
And now you go back, okay? It's part of the weave. You know?
Weave.
Then you go back. No, you got to
Finger
keep
roll.
it all together. You got to be sharp. If you're not sharp, you're dead. But think of it. Think of it. No, but think of it. So we have 92% and 8%. Nobody, no admirals,
Yeah.
and no business people. And
No admirals.
tell me. So now
Yeah.
we have me. I'm one.
Yeah.
So I'm.
And then maybe things change after that. Here's.
No, I think it will
Yeah.
change. They'll never.
You're not a business person, you're a reality star. And you're also not including Ronald Reagan, who is an actor. So you had one actor, now you have two actors. Although, do you call a reality show star an actor? I kind of feel like that's not.
There'll be another business person that ever does this.
Okay, here's a
Because
question.
I've been treated so badly that I think that no person of success. Don't forget, my whole life was deals. Deals.
Art of the deal.
Those guys are stiffs.
Yes.
Like they'll run for office. There's
Yeah.
no deal. There's no nothing. You can't
Yeah.
get yourself in trouble much.
Yeah.
You can be a crooked politician,
Yeah.
which some are.
Yeah.
But basically,
Most guys are stiffs. Yeah, most guys don't stiff their business, you know. I don't know wig and extension culture. Is Trump technically wearing a weave? I actually don't know either.
so many deals. I do hundreds of thousands of pages of documents a year. You know, as I'm.
Here's my theory, right? As his hair falls out, he glues it back to his head. He just refuses to like have a receding hairline, and so he just like it falls out, he glues it back in.
When I'm really in the mood, right?
Yeah.
And if they find one page, I got myself a problem politically.
Yeah.
Okay. Look at it. They went after me for years on taxes.
Yeah.
Years.
Yeah.
So yeah, weaving again away from the very reasonable ask that Andrew Schulz delivered of like, how about no mass deportation? We're not getting an answer, we're getting the weave.
The United States Supreme Court, I gave them tens of thousands of pages.
Art of the steal, art of the weave.
And you never heard about it again.
Well, that is what often happens, which is probably incredibly frustrating, which is lobbing an
Well, that's the
allegation,
problem, yeah.
and then when it's proven to be false, they just move on.
Oh, they don't even write about it. I called the New York Times on something. I was right. And they
The
said,
Russian
are
thing
you
was-
going to do?
was wild,
Yeah,
like-
the Russian hoax.
Yeah.
Well, I'm suing Pulitzer. You don't know this. They got a Pulitzer Prize for their New York
the
Times,
hoax?
Washington
wow.
Post. Yeah, for the hoax.
Excuse me, he's suing Pulitzer. Like, not the New York Times for supposedly putting forward these Russia hoax stories, right? But the Pulitzer who awarded them a prize for one of those stories. So in other words, this isn't a story. This is a story that not only held up, but was recognized as one of the best pieces of journalism that year. And he's going to sue Pulitzer for awarding. Oh my! No, this is just this is wild.
Got the Pulitzer Prize.
Yeah.
So the writers got Pulitzer Prizes for their brilliant coverage.
And you're not mad at the writers, you're not mad at the paper, you're mad at the Pulitzer.
The Russia hoax.
Interesting.
But it turned out to be right. So
Yeah.
we wrote a letter to the Pulitzer Prize.
Yeah.
Right?
He calls it the weave, says GTA. Sane people call it the Dodge.
You know, the committee, it's a big foundation.
And Elon calls it the Doge.
And we said, it's a lawsuit that's going on right
Yeah.
now. And we said, we demand that you take back the Pulitzer Prizes. We demand a apology.
Yeah.
Because you're actually, by leaving them, you're sort of saying it happened, and it didn't happen. Everybody now is
Yeah, you're
giving it
rewarding
up.
the lie.
Yeah. So I sued them. They said, well, we did what we did. We're not, okay,
Yeah.
that's okay. That's all right. So I sued them.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got themselves a big problem now.
Yeah.
And this suit's moving along, and I think we're going to win that suit easily because they gave people Pulitzer Prizes that were wrong.
Yeah.
You know who should get the Pulitzer Prizes equivalent, if you could? Guys like Sean Hannity,
Yeah.
guys like, that there were numerous of them that, I mean, not as many as the fake news, as the very liberal media, but we had tremendous John Solomon, he's a great writer. So many people knew that was a hoax. They should get